send the mail.
Why not? Hello. Good evening, everybody. YouTube's playing ball tonight, telling me the stream's bad, but I never believe it. So if you are there, say hello. I'm about to head into the chat so I can see you. Good evening, Roger. Great email. That's given me an idea for a demo next week. Hello, Carl. How are you?
Hello.
Aren't we all about gearing up for football season?
I can hear you.
It's not long now, is it, actually?
Can you hear me?
I don't have my sound on.
Oh.
I'm sure somebody else will let you know if they can hear you. Can anybody hear Mike? I have control of his volume, so I can turn him down if I choose.
Really.
It is actually.
Yeah.
Trust me. There was one week I left him too loud, which meant when he wasn't talking, I was getting reverb back through his microphone. It was not pretty. It was not pretty.
I'm very faint.
You're very faint. Okay, let me...
I am for me.
Uh...
But maybe that's the way people like me. So.
Well, your trouble is you never stay at the same volume twice. Are you any better now? Why don't you how now, brown cow?
How now, brown cow?
Nothing like a grand start to the show, is there? How are things at MacBites headquarters? Oh, full of excitement as ever. There's never a dull moment here, and I am not joking. But some of that is in this week at MacBites headquarters, so I will say no more. I won't be drawn at the moment. Wouldn't want to spoil the punchline.
Deb can hear me.
Oh, good, good.
Happier now.
Good. Let me just check mine against yours. See if I'm coming over. See, I'm coming over yours. So how am I? Do I sound hollow or echoey?
No,
Mind
you
you,
sound fine to me.
Yeah, but you're as deaf as a post. You're too low. You need to speak up.
How now, brown cow?
Now, you see, I think from here you are plenty loud enough. But then I've got the benefit of the view as well.
My volume is low.
Oh, now he says you're loud.
That's the way she likes me, Deb. Low.
Yeah, turn down.
Turned off.
Oh, right. Let's get my screen share going. Make sure we can see
better.
that.
I can hear myself.
Excellent, excellent. I'll turn you down later, Mike. Right, okay. What am I attempting to achieve here? Oh, yes, share my desktop. Oh, it's all organised, isn't it? Right, you should see my blue desktop. And then, when I finally find Keynote, I'll put that up. Oh, Roger, that's low. Right, we all sound fine. That's good, that's good. YouTube are playing along. Now, apparently, Mike reminded me, the first thing I must do, if you remember last week, at the very, very beginning, I started and said, oh, fantastic, somebody's given it a dislike already. You know, and we hadn't even started at that point. Anyway, at the end of the evening, we still had one dislike. We also had plenty of likes, so thank you very much for that. But this one dislike was still there. Anyway, next morning, Mike went in to check and he was strutting his stuff, making an clickable index to the content. And he said, can you just check that video? So I went in and checked and he said, is there anything missing? I said, not that I can tell. He said, look again. The dislike had gone. Oh, the like fairy must have appeared overnight and taken it away. Hello, Charlie. Good to have you with us. So, and then it went from 8 likes to 9. So possibly we managed to persuade them once we did speak. That's what I like. Anyway, thought I'd better mention it, because if you were watching on catch-up, you'd be thinking, she's insane, what dislike? Never mind. Right, so you're actually looking at my blue desktop and nothing else, aren't you? So it would help if I did that, and then you can see something, because who wants to sit and stare at my blue desktop? All right, so what have we got tonight? Is it top of the hour? Oh, 30 seconds to go. I'm ahead of myself. Good evening, Graham.
Shall I count you down?
No, because it's 25 seconds and you'd be going on and on and on and on. No, we don't want to do that. Oh, hello. We've got lots more people joining us. Andreas and Charlie, have I said Charlie? And Paul, hello. Hello, I'm glad I'm okay. Sound-wise. Wouldn't be the first time, you know, it started Daleking. If you've never heard me Daleking, you don't want to. because then I have to reboot and it's all horrible, or I have to use Mike's microphone and it's even worse. But luckily, so far, so good. So now it's the top of the hour. I will show you what we have got planned for tonight. We are starting with what has been going on at MacBites headquarters this week. Believe you me, lots. People have been on Valium here. They have been so shocked at what's been going on. How many slides? That's a nice little piece that you'll like. You'll also see it links into the next bit. 7 tips for managing long presentations. Question is, how long? Then, shortcuts to creating presentations. You'll like that one. Good deal. Good deal coming your way. I've moved the freebies because I've moved the freebies to be with the Comic Creation Kit Part 1. So tonight we're going to build a solid framework for creating a comic creation kit. Now, if comics aren't your thing, and I must admit, I only do them like twice in my entire life, not a problem, because the principles of what we're creating will apply to any genre that you care to create. I've just picked comics as the thing to do. And what we'll be looking at is various applications. We'll be looking at everything you need from the bottom up. So creating a solid framework for creating a comic. So we'll be looking at document layouts, templates, you name it. And then we will work up over the upcoming weeks to a fully fledged creation kit for comics, or whatever you would like to create. And then we do have an unboxing. We may even have more than one unboxing, but we definitely have one unboxing. We may have more if I can remember what's in the boxes. It was Amazon Prime week, what can I say? So, let's get going with what happened this week. Well, Saturday, some of us, not me, went out for the night. Well, I did, but that was a different story, wasn't it, Mike? Mike went out whiskey tasting night. Do you care to elaborate? You don't actually drink whiskey.
No, I took a bottle of wine.
Drank the lot. Not saying any more about that. Sunday, of course, was spent recovering for him, but then Monday arrived, and Monday, with it, Amazon Prime Day. But like I said, more on that later. I managed to get my stuff here on Tuesday and leave most of it not unboxed. Most of it's boxed to unbox with you. Now, Wednesday, this was when the shock started. Now, you see, you may not know me as well as other people know me, but I will fill you in and get you up to speed. I am not a domestic lady. Oh, no. The kitchen is that weird room that I walk through to get to the back garden. That's my level of interest. So, you might all need to sit down for this one. Wednesday, I was in the kitchen. What's more, look at that. I was baking. Don't worry about the duct tape. I do like to be prepared for any eventuality. Also, apparently, I own a rolling pin. Who knew? So I spent all day. It was a long, hard day. Mike wisely stayed out of the way as I crafted perfection. But while perfection was resting, we got invaded. We assume it's a neighbour's cat. And you'll see from that, I was busy making a presentation. You can see it behind the cat. And I do work with Post-it notes. You can see them on the table. I'll tell you what that says if you like. MLK, Bobby K. Hold that thought. Anyway, said cat was gorgeous. Absolutely mesmerised by my presentation and my iPad. That's my 11-inch iPad. And the cat thought it was a scratching pad and was lovingly rolling his neck all over it. He was adorable. Or she was adorable. No idea where she has come from, but she's very welcome back. So, that was Wednesday night. But by Thursday, my hard work in the kitchen had paid off. Much to everyone's surprise, I had baked a cake. Oh yes. I even iced the cake. That is all my own hard work. And believe you me, it was harder than most of the tech I do, honestly. It was all in a good cause. It was the 700th meeting, and we were packed out, as you can tell. There was about 90 of us all together. There must have been 10, 12 outside, as you can see. We spilled over into the outside on the patio, and we had a grand night. But I promised presentation. How many slides? Well, you saw the picture of the cat. I was in the process of making a presentation in Keynote. But that doesn't matter. The idea was, during our meal, which was 700 meetings, and there's a meeting once every month. So it's actually been 58 years worth of meetings. So I said to Mike, we need something on the night of this celebration that kind of acknowledges that it's been 58 years and how the world has changed. What we need is a presentation. And that's what we did. So there is said presentation, actually live, being shown as people are eating. But here's the question. How many slides? Now, this question, that is the number one question I get when I train presentation skills. How many slides should I have in my presentation? And anybody asking that question, when I talk to them, they are scared they'll put too many in. So how many slides were in my presentation? 10? 20? Once you start getting to the 30 stage, people start hyperventilating. But no, I had a few more than that. There were 400 slides in that presentation. They were 400 spot on. I actually had 397 and said to Mike, can't leave it like that, got to put in another 3. So I did. So it was a section of the presentation per year. And as you can see from there, then a selection of stories from the year. So that was what I did with my presentation. So I thought it would be a good idea to take you through the features that I found useful while I was doing that, because being honest, they were a completely different set of features than the features I would usually use. What have you missed? You've missed me in the kitchen baking a cake. How could you possibly have missed that? In fact, it was so momentous, I have never set foot in a kitchen in my life. I'll take you back to it. I baked a cake. Here's my cake. And it was for all these people at our party. That's my cake. Believe you me, that was a once-in-a-lifetime achievement. But I digress. Let's go back to our slides. So, what I am looking at is the 7 tips for managing long presentations. And I literally started that presentation. I did it. In fact, I'll show you the file that I used and how I did it. And I say this a lot to people. So first tip, this is an extra tip. Never start your presentation in Keynote. And I didn't. So the very, very first thing I did was open up Omni Outliner and created an outline for the presentation in there. Then when I finally got into Keynote, tip number 1, use master slides. I know it seems obvious, but believe you me, when you've got 400 of them, it's very, very important. So let's go in and actually have a look at that. Now, of course, I've come out of Keynote, haven't I? I need to come out of Keynote in a different way so I can open the demo presentation and show you. So this is the demo presentation. Let's take that full screen and let's move it so you can see it a bit better. Let's move that down. Okay. Now, I always have this column showing, which is the object list, which is this here. You can toggle it on or off with that. I find that incredibly useful when I've got a slide that's got objects on it. She said, frantically looking for one, like that one. Oh no, it wasn't that one. That was a proper picture. Oh, who knew? Some of these didn't have a background on. So I had to put one on like that one. So if I toggle that background off, you can see the problem. So with the object list showing, what would have happened is, I'll delete that and show you what would have actually happened. I would have brought that in and then needed to fill in this with white. So I would have put a shape on it and I would have put it in the right place. I would then have made it white and then I need to get it to the back. And I don't know how many things I've got in between doing that. But with my object list showing, I can just drag them about. So if I mean, the text doesn't actually matter in this scenario, but I can basically drag this about without being able to see it or click it on the slide itself. So that is pretty useful, that object list. But we've not got much space here, so I'll get rid of it. We might need to make this a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm up to. But master slides. Yes, master slides. At the point I got into here, let's go into Omni Outliner and let's open up my... Oh, it's not there. That's not good. Let's open up Omni Outliner and see if I can find the right file, which was called Years, which I moved. Hopefully it's that one. This was how I started, so I did not actually have... Where's that gone? There we go. I did not even have Keynote open, and I can highly, highly recommend that. What I then did was put in a year at the top level, and I put in the whole of the text that I was going to want on the slide, one per list, one per line there, which stopped me worrying about how much text there was and the layout of it and stuff like that. I focused on the content of it. Obviously, it's quite long. There's actually more slides than lines in here because I added a few extras. But that's how I started it. All of these, exactly the same principle. So we looked at 86, didn't we, with all the weddings and stuff. So there they are there. So that's how I actually started it. So when I came into here, this was an introductory slide. This was an introductory slide. You can see that I've got a master. It's a blank Brooklands blue master. And that one's just white because that is actually a graphic that I brought in. As you can see, I've even covered the date up behind it because that was a graphic that came from elsewhere. Once I came onto this, I decided I needed a master slide per year. Why would I do that? Because they're pretty much the same. Well, I knew I wasn't going to change the colour, but I might have done. And if I wanted to do something like that, the easiest way would be a master where I can go into it. So edit the master slide. This is the one with year. So you can see I've got lots of other things in here, but year. And I could actually change the background there. So that one is... I could change the colour of that. That would have the impact of changing them all. So that's why you would use a master slide. Obviously, that lime green, not an improvement. So let's change it back. The other master slide I needed was for the story, which is here. So let's get that to a point that we can see it. And I made the decision that each one was going to be the same. In terms of, there would be text over here, the logo's coming from the slide, and then I had an image, and I made a decision that the image, I don't think it's quite square, it's almost square. No, it's square, it's 600 pixel square. And I took the decision that every image was going to have to fit into that space. I was prepared to make some possible exceptions, but I don't think I actually had to in the end. Is there a free program to use instead of Outline? Is it possible in Pages? You can create an outline in Pages. In fact, you could do it in Word as well. And I know in Word, you can take your document and turn it into a PowerPoint presentation, which I did try from Omni Outliner and it didn't end well. Because although I can create an OPML file, which is an outline markup file, Keynote didn't understand it, and neither did PowerPoint. So I did mine by hand, but I knew I was going to have to go back and put the graphics in anyway. There are free outline programs. I'm frantically trying to think of one. But yes, you could do it in Pages. You could do it in Word. You could do it in LibreOffice, OpenOffice, anything like that. It is just easier to concentrate on, you know, how many slides you're going to have, how many bullets, how many lines you've got in your outline, without being in Keynote and starting to fiddle. One of the things that you would have fiddled with was the size of the text. Because as you can see, some text like that one, I could actually make bigger. There is something good about using a plain text editor, and you could do it in there. It really wouldn't matter. You could do it in virtually any application, a spreadsheet, anything like that. The way I did it was just copy and paste each line as I came to create it. So there was nothing magical in terms of how I was intending to do that. It literally just was copy and paste. That was the decision I made. There are lots of actual Markdown editors as well. So Byword, Ulysses, now that's not free, but anything like that would be able to do an outline for you as well. So loads and loads of things to do the outline with, and it doesn't matter what you use. Plain text editor actually has, pen and paper's probably not the best idea if you want to copy and paste. But if you've got a notes app like GoodNotes or Notability that can read your handwriting, it would work, I guess, if you wanted to do it that way. My handwriting's not that good that it gets every word right. And this one was going to be shown to all those people. I do use mind maps. I've actually got a new app. I only got it today on my iPad to do handwritten mind maps in. So far, so good with it. I use different apps depending on what it is I'm needing to think about. So for this one, I don't use Omni Outliner very often, I'll be honest. I do use mind maps. I do use Omni Outliner. There's other apps like Tinderbox and Devon Think. There's lots of apps that I use. It just depends on the job in hand. But for this one, Omni Outliner worked for me. Your mileage may vary. If you may feel that you can go in and you can do it in Keynote. The reason that I didn't was I knew I'd only need 2 masters. And I knew I wanted to get the content sorted out before I played with the masters. Otherwise, it would have turned into 400 slides if I'm going to have to format each one individually because I didn't do it right in the first place. But this time I did do it right in the first place. So when it came to making this master, it was relatively straightforward. If we go in and edit the master, you can see that's what the master looked like. There is one text box that I put on there. There is a logo at the bottom, and there is this placeholder. Now, it looks as though I've done something clever with it, that you wouldn't have done it like that. If you did it, it wouldn't work like that. And you could well be right. What I actually did with this, that's not standard to put that frame on like that. That's actually an image. I created an image called placeholder, which I can probably show you in Affinity Designer. Did we have placeholder? We did. There we go. I've seen the brain and I used it on Windows. Ooh, must have been 13, 14 years ago. But I've not looked at it since. No. Right, this was the image that I created. It's literally just a square in Affinity with a line going across it in 2 directions, and then I exported it as a PNG. It was as simple as that. But it meant when I made a new slide, I instantly knew that that was a placeholder. You'll see this little logo in the lower right hand corner as well. That makes that a placeholder. And you do that, I use 3NI. Which is the shortcut, I do believe. If you go into Format Advanced, you can define something as a media placeholder. And that means when you make a new slide, so if I was to go in there and make a new slide, that means I can drag and drop stuff to it. So if I go and get an image, come on, any old image will do. What's the betting? I can't find an image that's safe to use. There must be one in my demo files for today. There must be. Oh, there you go. We'll go a bit meta. I've got an image. No, I won't. I'll use the downloads one. There must be something in there. Oh, there was one of the cat, I think. That'll do, the one of the cat. So as I drag over it, I get a blue frame. And it says it may not display on an iPad or iPhone because it's some high efficiency image, but I'm not concerned about that. As long as it puts the cat in, it doesn't matter. And there's the cat, and I can double click to move it and get it to a better place, and I can zoom in and zoom out in there as well. Now, the caption enables me to select it and add some text, but it won't do that automatically. Let's go back into edit the master slide. If I were to put some text on here, so you know you can add text by doing that, some text, and I say done, it adds it to there. There's my text that I've added. Add some more text, no problem. Go up there, doesn't select it. I double click it, it says it can only be edited on the master. Edit the master slide. What it means is I can put some text in there, so add text here. That means it's an instruction. it's still not editable in the individual slides. What you need to do to make it editable like my caption was is go into here and go to Format, Advanced, Define as Text Placeholder. Once you do that and you go back in here, you can add the individual texts to it. So some real text. And the benefit of creating that master slide and using it is, as I go through all the others, this won't look pretty, be warned. Where it says add text here, it's added it to them all. The good news is, if I go in here and edit it and delete it, it will delete it from them all as well. So no harm done with that. There we are, it's gone. But that's how I actually created that master. So it couldn't be easier to do that. Let's get rid of the cat because he makes it 401. Away you go. There we go. And that one couldn't have been simpler as well. Now, thing to think about with this, which pointing out, well, that's the master slide. Let's leave it. That's the master slide, because I'm going to do this in order because I said 7 tips and you'll be counting, won't you? You'll be counting. So that was the master slides. I only needed 3. I needed one that was blank, which just had the right blue, and then I put the text on it. I needed one with the year on it, and I needed one that had an image on it, and then some text. So that was the master slides. Now, the next thing I did, so tip number 2, text styles. Now you might think if you've got master slides, you don't need text styles, but nothing could be further from the truth. So let's think about this. We've already seen with this slide that if I go in and edit the master and I change the blue to other colours, like gold, it ripples through. That's grand. Let's go back and edit the master again. Sometimes the same is true of the text and sometimes it's not. It just depends what mood it's in. That's really vile, isn't it? Right, okay, that's worked okay. But where you'd have a problem, I need to change that back really, don't I? Oh dear me, that's bad. There we go. Where you can have a problem is where you've used text in multiple locations and maybe you've added a little bit of text and it's not on a master slide. So for instance, none of this is on a master slide. None of it. That's where text styles come in. So this text here has a style on it. It's a caption style and it ripples through. So although I could have 4, 5, 6, 100 different master slides that I don't want to go through and edit, but I've got this text on my 100 different master slides that now needs updating, a text style can do that for you. So I've got that selected. It's formatted as caption. If I go in and make a change to it, so let's make it the gold colour, you'll see now that next to it, it says update. And what it means is update all the paragraphs that use that style. And what it's talking about is all of these. So go into there, update, and it will update them all. Oh, we've got something here. Irritating thing with Keynote compared to PowerPoint is you can't hyperlink to other presentations, only slides within the same presentation. I'd like to think they would. I could talk for 5 hours about the things in Keynote that irritate me. The thing is, however much they irritate me, they don't irritate me enough to go and use PowerPoint. The thing with PowerPoint that annoys me, it's incredibly powerful. All the formatting is in different locations. So I end up, going from ribbon to ribbon to ribbon, or right-clicking. Whereas in Keynote, the whole thing is going to be over here. So if I've got something selected, it'll be in style or text or arrange. And if it's to do with animation or transitions, it'll be in there. And that's really what keeps me with it. I do wish they would take it to the next level, though, and make it the best application for presentations. Hyperlinks is one of them. I mean, branching in presentations, layers. Imagine having the ability to have layers in a presentation. Now, you might say to me, who's interested? What use is that? If you think about having a layer for English and a layer for German and a layer for French, now you're not managing 3 different presentations. The text is on the one copy of the slide. So if I had this and I wanted it in different languages, I could have my French version and my German version inside here. So if I decide to change the image, I only change it in one place. There is so much they could do with Keynote. And every time they bring out an update, I scour it and think, really? That's all you've done? But they either don't seem interested or they'll get there in the end, but it's taking a long time. I will actually be showing you tonight one thing I do use PowerPoint for, which is fantastic, and then take it into Keynote. So hold that thought. Right, I've just undone that change to the text because I don't actually want to do that. But that was text styles and why they matter. If you have one master slide, you're minted. But if you can imagine I'd used alternate slide masters here, maybe the picture on the right and the text on the left, I would have needed two masters for that. And rather than editing two masters, I could have edited one text style. So it's a matter of thinking it through. And that's why I deliberately kept the preparation out of Keynote. If you're running a course and people are writing their own presentations, you have to create one giant file with everybody's slides in it. Oh, nightmare. Nightmare. I mean, there's another good point. We have master documents in Word. Why don't we have master presentations where we can link out to sections? They just need me in there for a day, and then they can spend the next 10 years building it for me, because I would love that. Right, so let's have a look at the next thing, which is we've looked at text styles, but you can have shape styles as well. Who knew that? Let me know in the chat if you knew that. Did you know that you could have shape styles? Now, what I mean when I say shapes, let's go and get this and make it blank. These are the shapes you've got. Now, you've got a lot more shapes than you used to have. You used to only have the basic shapes. But in here now, you have categories of shapes. So you've got animals and nature and food and all kinds of things. So these are the shapes that I'm talking about. We stick to a fairly basic one. That actually has a style on it. It might not look like it does, but it does. If you go into the styles here, you can see you have shape styles. And I use these all the time. I've made these, if I made a new presentation, so let's just get a new presentation, new wide in white, and I go to there. Let me get myself a square. You have pink. I don't need pink there, but I do need white. So you can change these styles yourself. So let's get rid of that and get back to my presentation. So delete. Don't want that. So you have styles. How I actually use them is when I'm working on my presentation, particularly for after hours, I have sections of my presentation and I need to know whether I'm done or whether I'm still in process of doing. So what I do is I put a circle up in that corner and I make it 200 pixels square. Position it about there, and I use these styles to indicate not started, work in progress, or complete. And that's exactly how I do it with these styles. I just whip through it. And the reason that I use a circle that big is if you look over in the slide list, I can see it. So I can just glance down my presentation and see that I'm done. When I'm about to present, then I would go in and I would delete them. That would be another fabulous thing to be able to do automatically. But you have to think about it, don't you? They need time for these things. So all you need to do with these is apply your style if you've already got your style like that. I think I do have the pink one there. And I also have that one, which gives me just an outline. So when I want to highlight something, I use these arrows to move into my secondary shapes and do that. Now, if I'd like one of these that was green, then I go and format it, get the green and hit the plus. And now I've got the red outline and the green outline. I can just switch between them. So shape styles are your friend as well. Right, next thing though, because remember what we were actually looking at here. We have got 400 slides. How on earth do you manage that? Well, the first way to manage that many slides is views. I'm going to be honest with you and say I didn't use views, but that's point 5, that's tip 5. But let's go in and actually have a look. at views. Now, you've seen that I turned the object list off. I had an object list on. That's for working with the contents of individual slides. What I'm looking at now is working with all of the slides. Hello, Neil. Good morning to you. We are in the middle of 7 tips for managing long presentations. The presentation in question was 400 slides. Don't run away screaming. I'm not showing them all. Right, so the first thing you can do when you've got this many slides, and if I just scroll down and show you what 400 slides looks like, it's a lot. And it can be very, very tricky to locate the one that you want. I mean, if you know the year, great. But I wasn't born during some of these years, and I'm not sure exactly when Macmillan went and stuff. When did Macmillan resign? I've no idea. So, ways to manage slide overload. Well, the first option is, although most of us work in Navigator most of the time, you do have a light table view. And that light table view, it's having a good old think about it because there's 400 slides. But that light table view does actually allow you to whiz through that much faster and see it. The one thing with it is if you've folded up a section, so if you have collapsed 2002, this uncollapses it. There's no collapse option in here, which if you do use PowerPoint, you'll be aware potentially that they have a section option in their light table view, and it's fabulous. I would have created, if this was in PowerPoint, a section for each year, and it would have had the effect of taking the year slide and putting it over on the left at the top. So it would have been a little bit like a book. That would have been nice. But that's the first way. So when you're working with your presentation and you're getting exasperated, oh, that slide proved rather popular, by the way. Daniel Craig and his Budgie Smugglers. Just think of changing the view. Even if you change it to like an outline view, because that's not going to work too great, is it? If you look at all my slides. I don't use titles, so the outline view is not great for me. But the light table views a help. And if you're getting overwhelmed by the fact that you've got 400 slides, you can always go into the slide only view and just concentrate on one individual slide. So views are your friend, although most of the time I am in that view, Navigator view. Right, let's go back to the next one. So that was number 4. Now, number 5 is fabulous. Number 5 is expand all, collapse all. You may never have heard of that. It's one of those things that's going to be more relevant the more slides you have. Now, what I've actually got here is I put the year, and then underneath that, I have indented those slides. If you've never done that, let me show you how that works. There's the slide for 1961, and these are the events in 1961. We go to the first one and press the tab key. That indents that slide under 1961 and gives me a disclosure triangle, which means I can fold them up. So if I indent the lot, fold them up, there's 1961 nice and neat and tidy, and 1962 and 1963. But it would still take me forever to fold these up. That's where you have an option on the menu that helps you, which is slide, expand all, which shows them all, and collapse all. That one was beautiful. Now they've all gone. Right down to 2019, and then some social at the end. So collapse all, expand all is your friend. But you can do better than that as well. If you wanted to do this, make it even easier. So put in a slide, and I'll make it a year slide, and I'll change the year to 1960s. And I'll grab 61, hold the command key, get the other years that were in the 60s up to 69, and press the tab key. And that will then indent those under the 60s. I can then do exactly the same for the 70s. And go and grab all of the 70s years, press tab, and indent them. And now I can carry on doing that. Obviously, time's of the essence, isn't it? And you're not. You trust me that this works, don't you? Tell me you trust me. Right, let's get the 80s there. No, not the 1880s. The 1980s. Oh, it was my era. Right. So there's 3 done, right? The fact that you've indented them another level doesn't preclude that slide expand all, expanding the whole lot. It's now expanded 60s to 61 to the individual events, all the way through. We're liking that. So that made working with it a whole lot easier, because as I was using my Omni Outliner file on another screen, I could literally just collapse the whole lot, go and find 2002 and just open that and just work with 2002. Very, very simple. So views are good, but collapse all, expand all, even better. That was when I hit a snag. Tip number 6. Transitions. I don't usually use transitions. If I do, it's very sparingly. You will tonight see 2 transitions, and that's 2 more than I've used in the last 2 months. Very sparingly. But this presentation needed to run on its own. I didn't want to sit there and go through 400 slides. The audience didn't want me to do that either. So I thought, right, I need to put some kind of transition on this thing. It needs to self-run. Oh dear. Well, I don't know if you're aware, all of that's folded up. If I do a Command and A, it selects all the slides. Or does it? Well, if I open this up, you can see no, it doesn't. It selects the slides that you can see. And I wanted to add a transition to all of them. So I needed to be able to see them. So I needed to go back to expand all, select just the one, then Command and A. Now I've got the whole lot selected. And at the moment we may, what have we got at the moment? 403. I've added some test ones in here. And I wanted to put a transition on it. So that's the first step. Use tip number 5, expand all, and then tip number 6, transitions. So go through to transitions, and I wanted to add an effect. The one that I wanted was dissolve. One slide would just dissolve into the next. It's not giving me a good preview because I've got them all selected. I don't want it, though, to start on a click. I need it to happen automatically. Then I had to decide what kind of delay I want. Now, you look there, and neither of those fields that are giving you a timing is actually being useful at all. What's it talking about? There's 2 timings, 1.5 seconds and half a second. Which is which? I need to know how long will that slide be on the screen. And that's the delay. So I went in and I took a decision and made that 5 seconds. So it's on screen for 5 seconds, and then it does a 1.5 second transition between this slide and whatever the next slide is. So let's actually have a look at that. Let's have a look at, I know what year we'll go for. Johnny needs to tell me why I've picked this year, because I'm so good knowing this. There we go, 1989. So I will play this through. Now, bearing in mind, I'm not touching a thing. It should be doing it by itself. Oh, good, it is. So what's happening is each slide is showing for 5 seconds, and then the transition is taking 1.5 seconds. Now, the Brooklands isn't disappearing. That looks static because it's in the same place on all the slides. It's on the master. Then it looks like only the text and the image are changing, which was the look that I was looking for. So that was 1989. Can you believe that was the first year Parliament was televised? Then we realised how crazy they all actually were. Okay, so that was adding transitions to them all at once. Right, at which point I came across yet another problem. I needed to loop the slideshow because this was running while we were eating. Who can very quickly tell me in 30 seconds or less, because that's the delay on YouTube, how long that presentation would be? It would be 5 seconds per slide plus 1.5 seconds per transition for 400 slides.
Johnny got it right.
Johnny got the year right. I'll take a ballpark figure on that, but let me tell you, it was quite a while. But what I didn't want to happen was that I'd be sitting there in the middle of eating my lamb, which incidentally was gorgeous. and have to go and press start again, drag it back to the beginning and start again. Now, I have never created a self-running presentation before. I always present it myself. So I'd never contemplated, can this thing do that? Can it get to the end and start again? Oh, 2,000 seconds. Let's divide 2,000 seconds by 60. Approximately it was. I got it to about 32 minutes. No, luckily it wasn't an hour and a half. We did get to see this last night about 4 or 5 times. Meal probably went on for 2.5, 3 hours. We all had a fabulous time. So it probably played through about 4 to 5 times. The thing was, no one was actually sat watching it. It was the thing, to me, it was talking wallpaper. I knew that certain things, particularly the older people, I mean, we've got people there who are in their 90s, there were certain things they would have remembered, and one of the gentlemen started telling me about something that had happened in 61. One of the things that I'd put in for 61 and he'd remembered. Somebody else was there at the moon landings and had got the newspaper and was telling me that he got the newspaper from that day and he'd only been looking at it about a week before. So the whole point of the presentation was to spark conversation, and it did. It really did. So, will it automatically play? Well, my first thought was to go into the preferences of Keynote. And then I thought, well, that won't work because it needs to travel with the file. I'm creating this on my desktop, but when I present it, it'll be on my MacBook Air. At which point I thought, where would you define the size of the slides? Because that is something that's a preference, a setting that is global to this presentation. And I thought, well, I'd go in here, wouldn't I? Which is show or hide the document options. And one of the ones in here is loop slideshow. And it's really a case as simple as putting a tick in there. And it played all night and I didn't have to think about it. By the time we got to the end of the meal, I struggled to remember the beginning of it. But for the fact that the pate was absolutely fabulous. They gave us bread with it, which I had to ditch because I'm gluten-free, but we had taken gluten-free biscuits with us. That was so funny, actually, Mike. I forgot to mention that. I'm sure you noticed it. We sat there and we took the bread off and we send it sideways. It's like, do you want this bread? Do you want this bread? So there's bread flying around the table. People love sitting with us. They get twice the food. And I put my biscuits next to the pate. And a lady opposite said, "Oh, you've got biscuits." I thought, oh no, because we were organising it. And I said, "I brought my own. They're in my bag." And she went, "Oh, okay then." And I thought, I've got a spare packet if you want them, but they're gluten-free, so you might not like them.
Tastes like cardboard.
Yeah, it's sort of cardboard with a slight flavour to them. But it worked with the pate, so not to worry. In fact, the pate had flowers on it. I do have a photo of that. And one mad soul ate the flower that was on top of it. They were edible, apparently. But she spent the night as high as a kite. So I wish I'd had it now, actually. Right, so that's how you make it loop. So at that point, and I can't really do it too well, can I? But what I'll do is I'll move right down to the end here. We'll go down to the last 3 slides. And I will play. And remember, I'm not touching it. Each one will be on there for 5 seconds. What we're hoping is, when it gets to the last slide, which is I think it's the Twitter slide, which is the one with the bird on. Come on. No, it's not. Yes, it is. That's the last one. Does it start again at the beginning? That's the burning question. And it does. That was the first one. If you remember, I covered up the date on it. And the next one actually had yesterday's date on it. So it does get to the end and it does start again. So those were 7 things that I found absolutely critical to working with a long presentation. And I thought I'd share them with you. I get a lot of questions about presentations. So I thought I would share it with you. Now, obviously, that was a mega mammoth presentation. And there was one guy there who said to me, quite nonchalant, "God, how long did that take you?" I said, "Oh, it took a while." And about 20 minutes later, he's like a moth to a flame watching it. He says, "No, seriously, how long did that take?" Anyway, it turned out, talking to his wife later, that he'd had to do a presentation this week of 10 slides and was hyperventilating about it. So all he could think was how many slides I'd put in there and how long that would take. But it doesn't have to be difficult to make presentations like that. So let's get back in to our running order tonight. Can you shortcut your presentation creation? Well, the good news is you can. Which is handy because what's the world's #1 fear? Apparently, even worse than death. The number one fear is making a presentation. And you've got enough to worry about without worrying about creating the presentation. Now, if you think about the one I did last night, I wasn't presenting it. That's very unusual for me to be using Keynote in such a way that I'm creating a deliverable, but I'm not delivering it. That's why I use 7 different techniques that I wouldn't normally need to use. But you're going to have to do the delivery. Can you make creating the presentation easier? Well, you can. You know you have built-in templates, but you know they're not good, which is where services like SlideShop come in. Now, because templates are good, usually, who remembers Dad's tie? Dad's tie shipped with PowerPoint in the 90s, and if I saw one presentation using Dad's tie, I must have seen hundreds. And Dad's tie wasn't pretty. Not even in different colours was it pretty. What you need these days, you'll be judged on your delivery, and that's within your control. But, if you're relying on the templates that ship with any presentation application, you'll get judged on that as well, and you didn't even design them. So if you can get better slides, at least you've got a head start on it. And your slides can be fabulous from templates. All these examples are coming from presentation templates that I've got access to via SlideShop. So there they all are. They are very, very pretty. Brace yourself. This one's got a transition on it. It's rather a nice transition as well. Look at that. Liking that. That's clever. So SlideShop. You need to know about SlideShop. As it says there, they've got over 90,000 individual slides. They are, as you've seen, highly designed. They are very easy to use. You can customize them in any way you like. They're not graphics. They're not a static graphic in the background that you can't change. Everything that you saw there is all editable. The problem, of course, is the line at the bottom, isn't it? Choose the plan that's right for you. Well, I don't know about you, but neither of those plans would suit me. $49 per month or $79 per month if you want billing monthly. Yeah, that's $588 a year plus VAT. So while they're fantastic, who's got that kind of money? Because if you have, can you let me know in the chat? And then I don't have to work for a living anymore. You can just pay me. I don't have that kind of money to spend on that kind of thing. Even if I was doing it all day, every day, it's exorbitant. But there is good news, which is why I'm telling you about it. And I'll take you in and actually show you, because I have a pro subscription. But how did I do that? Well, for a much better cost. Cheapest we can get it there, $588. Cheapest we can get it via Stack Social, $39.99. And that is a lifetime license. The deal is on for the next 2 days because I took that today. I did put that link in where it should be, didn't I, Mike? Tell me I did.
It's just Stack Social.
Oh, good, I did. Excellent. Yes. Right. I got that the last time it was on. And I'll be honest, I have not downloaded any of them and used them as is. What I have done is download them and use them as a starting point, or just taken one slide out of this presentation and one slide out of that presentation. So I thought I'd give you the benefit of showing you what the members area looks like inside and what kind of thing you can actually download before you decide if it's worth $39.99. Spoiler, I paid it. I couldn't give them the money fast enough, and I've been using it ever since. So let's have a look at that. Right, I had it open somewhere over here. Oh, there it is. There it is, I think. Looks about right. Right, so let me go to the home page of that. That's what it looks like. I'm logged in. Although it says join and download, not sure what that's about. But this is what it shows you. It gives you a nice 9-slide summary of various things that they're showcasing. So these are the 6 they're showcasing at the moment. So, for example, this SWOT analysis, if I might want a SWOT analysis, that one might not be exactly what I'm looking for. But as I look down here, there's different kinds of SWOT analysis. So in that one presentation, there is that type on the first slide. There is a nice one there. I think we can actually preview these nearer. There we go. So the first one had nice colours in it. Second one, more muted. Third one, nice little shapes. So you get the idea. You look up the type of slide that you want and you get a collection of slides that fit the bill. And that's how I use it rather than doing that. So rather than just downloading it and, okay, there's all my slides and I'll just fill in the blanks. No, I would pick one and I would use it in that way. So for example, let's say I'm giving him a presentation about social media. So I want to make a social media presentation. It will filter down and it will give me all of the options that are there for social media presentations. So this one looks pretty decent. This social media one here. Again, I can click on that and get previews. So be taken through them all. There we go. And again, I would use that as a starting point, just a starting point. But let's have a look for, what did I actually put in? I had social media, infographics. Infographics is a really good one. They've got some fantastic stuff on infographics. So let's have a look at the vivid infographics. In fact, if I put in infographics, it won't just give me the bundles. It will actually give me all the infographics there. So I might be looking for something that would display well with a pyramid, or maybe it's a pathway through something. Maybe it's a chart I'm looking for, or again, it's a pathway type scenario. Maybe it's a circular process. So you get some idea as you're looking at them. So this one here says chart graphs. This one says bundle. So it's got a little bundle symbol next to it. If I go into the chart graphs, it will be telling me that that is 70 slides worth. So as I look down it, these are the options that I get. So it's giving me again a little preview of it all. There's all the options. So lots of different ways of displaying information, which are better and different than the templates that ship with it, basically. Now, when you look at it, one-click download of 70 slides. So I could do that, but it's also part of the Vivid Infographics bundle, which is more than just charts. So if I click on there and have a look at that one's got everything in it. It's got the charts in it. It's got the little man on the moon. It's got all sorts in it. So let's download that one. That's 306 slides. It didn't prompt me to go in and do any kind of magic or whatever. I can just click on that and it will open it. And that's what I get. I get 5 presentations. So let's get that one out of the way. They are all PowerPoint format, but that's not a problem. That will open in Keynote if you want it to. But I'll just double click it and we'll open it. So let's have a look at those chart graphs that we're looking at. If I double click it, it will open it up in PowerPoint for me. If you haven't got PowerPoint, you want to look at it in PowerPoint, you can use the online version. Yes, whatever you need to do. Okay, so it opens it up in that light table view so we can see it all, which is a great way of seeing all the slides that you have available to you, because you've got 300, in this one you've got 70 slides. Altogether you've got nearly 400 slides. So let's have a look at that one. Double click on one of them, takes you to it. You can then put in your amounts, change your text, and you are good to go. So if you do have presentations, rather than use those built-in ones, which are very cliched, very standard, and believe you me, your audience have seen them all before, break the mold of death by PowerPoint and try something like this. I think for $39.99 for a lifetime, I wouldn't pay that per month. I might pay 40 if I had, well, actually it'd be 80, wouldn't it? It'd be $79.99 for 1 month if I had a really, really important presentation to do. And I thought, this is a one-off and I'm never going to use it again. But $39.99 for me, it was a no-brainer. As I said, all of these are editable. So if this doesn't match your colour scheme and you would like to change it, you can go into there and you can change all of these elements in there. You can change the whole lot, including the little bars and stuff. What have we got on this one? Oh, we have graphics there. So all of that is editable. The whole thing is editable. Now, I also said it would open up in Keynote, which it will. If I go back into Keynote and come out of Keynote and then go in there and do an open with, why are you not behaving? That's better. Open with Keynote. Now, there are some things it will balk on. If it doesn't understand the transitions and stuff. Now, it's having a rare old think about it, and it's having a rare old think about it on the other screen. There you go, because there's actually quite a lot of slides in there. And there's lots of things in there as well. So it's telling me it's got missing fonts. But generally speaking, it's done a fairly good job opening that up in there. And I can go in and edit it. So if I wanted these two to be that colour, I even get my styles with it. Although they look chunkier. They look like they've got a border on them. I'm reckoning it's a line that's on it. It has a line applied to it, which we don't want. But what I can do is go into my style there and redefine from selection. Update all the... Yes, we'll do it. We'll do that. Do that. Let me get some of these grey ones and apply that style. And now I get it without the border. So you even get the styles coming through to PowerPoint. So into Keynote, rather. So if I want them to be that colour, there we go. So it works, and it works really well. I can highly, highly recommend those. Do the graphics automatically update when you change the percentages? I don't believe they do, because they're more of a design thing than they are live. If it made them live, it would make them less portable across applications. One thing, for instance, that I could do, if I wanted... Where was that hexagonal thing? That one. If I wanted with that to do something clever with it. So let's get the whole lot and copy. There would be nothing here stopping me, technically speaking. She said, let's see if it works. I just shouldn't do demos where you ask me questions, you know. I don't know if this will work or not, but let's see. It should technically allow me to paste it in. Now, what it won't do is paste it in as an image. So it thinks it's a bitmap. But if I wanted to do that, for whatever the reason, maybe to trace it, then I can do that. Whereas if it was live linked, it wouldn't like that at all. So that's the reason that it's not. No, they don't automatically update. I don't use them in terms of actual numbers, though, I'll be honest with you. I would be quite happy to change these rather than fiddle around with data somewhere. You can, of course, edit the shapes. So that's editing the label, but you can edit the shapes in there. Is that a group of shapes? Can I get into one? I should be able to edit that, make editable. At which point I can take it down, make it a half there, like that. So you can edit like that, but no, it's not live linked. It's not live linked, unfortunately. Okay, let's get rid of that one. No, don't keep it. It was a PowerPoint one. Leave it alone. Right, so let's get back in there. Right, so that was SlideShop. Very expensive, but don't forget the offer. The offer is where it lives. Oh, yes. Can you use Excel? You can use Excel diagrams which change. They do. Your problem with that is then you're limited to the formatting that you've got. So it's a trade-off between the look of the thing and the live data. The way I look at it is this. If I've got a lot of data in Excel, which is likely I would have, maybe I've got a pivot table that's pivoting 10 years worth of sales and giving me some kind of clever analysis. I don't want that in my presentation. I want a summary of that in my presentation. If all I do is take either the data or a chart from Excel and shove it on my slide, it will be accurate in terms of numbers, but it won't have the impact it would have to make a point. Now, I'm thinking, could I show you this? Many moons ago, I gave a presentation, and I do mean many moons ago. The reason I'm thinking, can I show you this, is honestly, it's years and years and years and years ago. I think it is 13 years ago that I gave this presentation, and I have access to it here. It's frightening. Let me see if I can get this presentation, and let me see if it's got in it the slide I'm thinking about. It was called A Night at the Opera. You're wondering, aren't you? It was about not using Internet Explorer. Yes, that's how long ago it was. So I'm having a look, see if I can find it. And if I can I open it? Oh, it was a Keynote. Yes, I changed it to be a Keynote file. Let me open up this Keynote file and see if the slide I'm looking for is there. I had some data, and the data I had, now bearing in mind, I've got this is far more wordy than it would normally be because it was 2006. Right, but I've got in here a whole load of slides, and my objective on the night was to get the message across to people that Internet Explorer was not safe. There you go. I'm suggesting Opera, but Firefox is just as good. And somewhere in here, so I'm going to need to change my view to my light table view and take that full screen. Somewhere in here, I had a slide. And I was making the point about downloads, and the data I had was all, there was this browser, there was Internet Explorer, there was Firefox, there was Mozilla, there was Netscape, and it was just stat, 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 stat. When all I actually wanted to say was, and I think it was that one, let's go and have a look at that one. That was the downloads of Firefox at that point. So you can see there, this was delivered on the 16th of June, 2006, 4 o'clock. That was a preferable slide to one that had all of the data on it. It didn't mention Internet Explorer or Opera or Netscape. It didn't mention any of them. It just mentioned Firefox, and that was it. It made the point stronger by the fact it didn't have the chart. It didn't have the table of information. It just made a stark point. I did another one that was very similar, and I put on it something like 96% market share. And I was talking about Chrome after Chrome came out. Chrome wasn't even thought of in 2006. That's why I was focusing on Firefox and Opera. But sometimes you don't need the data. You just need the data point. What's the point you're trying to make? Put that on the slide instead. So I was actually saying Firefox is incredibly popular and it's free. And the next point I made is Opera is simply the best internet browsing experience. And I did that with just words, not all the data. But you may want all the data. But trust me, when people look at it, they can't see the point you're making. They're just seeing a lot of data competing with the point you're making. So at that point, your slides aren't backing up what you're saying. Your slides are confusing the audience. There's times I've been slides that I have absolutely loved. You remember our presentation before Christmas, Mike? How many ended up on the cutting room floor, as they say? And they were good slides. They were good, strong slides. But they didn't add anything to it, so they had to go. So that's why I wouldn't worry about it. Anyway, we are moving on to the next point. Yeah, oh, hang on, what am I doing now? Now I've made it disappear. It's like magic. There we go. Right, if it's yellow text on a blue background, I'm going to be upset. No, it wasn't that bad, was it? You'll notice it said Act 1, Scene 3, and all of that in there. That was based on a delivery ideology that came from a book from a guy called Cliff, was it Atkinson?
Atkinson.
Cliff Atkinson. It was called Beyond Bullet Points. And he had you deliver the presentation or create the presentation. This isn't good, is it? You're looking at a black screen. He had you create the presentation as if it were a 3-act play. And that's why that was in there. And it said 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I found that pretty much a straitjacket methodology. But I did like the fact that we were beyond bullet points with it. Exactly. Slides are meant to enhance your message, not be a script. This person that I was talking about with his presentation, with his 10 slides, was concerned he wouldn't know what was coming next in his presentation, so he printed it all out. And I mean, that's one way to go. And when I got there last night, I couldn't extend my screen. So if I put any notes in it, I wouldn't have been able to read them. Oh, pro tip for that, if that actually happens, just get an iPad up and hook that up with your laptop and you'll be able to see it on the iPad. But I could not use Presenter View if I hadn't have had an iPad. So you need to be able to deliver the presentation without actually looking at it. You should know what's on the screen behind you. There's one thing when I'm watching a presentation, drives me insane. It's when they turn around, look at the slides and start reading the text that's on it. I can read as well. So I never look at the slides when I'm presenting. Is that dangerous? Well, if it's not extending it, if it's mirroring it, then what's in front of me on my laptop is exactly the same. And what I do so I know what's on the screen behind me is always show in my presenter view 2 slides. What's on the screen right now? Well, I show 3 things. What's on the screen right now? What's coming on the screen next? And what am I supposed to be saying? And that's it. I just have the 3 things on it. So no, you don't need a script. Does this sound scripted? Anyway, freebies. It's become a tradition. We have freebies of the week. And the freebies of the week that we've got this week are our Creative Market freebies, but they've been really clever. They've given us three things there, at least three things that we can use with our comic creation kit. There's the paper cut font. There's those doggos, because they've not only got cartoon dogs, they've got individual shapes. I particularly like that. I hope no one's eating. The bag at the top, Mike. Top left. Just by the dog's ear. He's having a rare old look now. Yes. I'm glad you teach kids not to read the slides. To be honest, there shouldn't be enough text on the slides to read, should there? Most of my slides don't have that much text on them at all. And, I don't think kids are the problem these days. I would say some of the teachers are quite timid when it comes to, they are the ones that are saying to me, how many slides should I have? I can't have more than X. And X will be something stupid like 12 for 45 minutes. And I'll say, no, 45 minutes, you could have easily 450. Younger people are used to the speed that something moves on the screen. They are far more adventurous. And I think older people feel that there's rules and you've got to stick to the rules. I know Mike was asked this week, how many bullet points?
How many lines and how many words per line would you have on a slide?
Like there's some kind of rule?
And I said, really? Should we be teaching people this in the 21st century?
I would say the number it takes to get the message across. You saw some of my slides that I used last night, and they were quite long. The longest one was talking about the hottest summer we'd had, and the temperature had got up to something like 103 in Margate or something, and that was on there. But I didn't expect anybody to read it. It was, if you happened to be looking, you would have had time to read it. But it was talking wallpaper, it was eye-catching something, and that was it. I agree with you, Peter. Yeah, high-res photo, don't ever go for something that's that low-res, it's all pixelated. You can... Presentation screens are not high-res, to be honest. So you can get away with it a little bit if you've got an image that's just fractionally too small, scale it up a bit, but not the kind of thing I see where it's like a thumbnail and it's been stretched, or it's a thumbnail of whatever it is on a white background that you then stick on a black slide. Don't do that. There are ways around this thing, but it's the fact that some people still think there's a golden rule that if you put 6 words on 7 lines, you've cracked it. It'd be a great presentation. And the fact is, it won't. And people don't like to be told that there is no magic bullet. They don't like to be told, do you know what? You're going to have to sit down and really think about it. They don't like to be told that. Yeah, so that's a good rule. Never expect them to be present when you're presenting it, I guess. Yeah. It's not that you're making e-learning. It's just, it should... I always say, in fact, I'm the other way, actually. Let me see. They were taught from manufacturing age. They were never expected to present. Yeah, they were, I guess. I see your point. Yes, they were never expected to present it. No, but I think rules come out. And when I say rules, they are things that are coming out because somebody's got a book out. And the methodology in their book is... put 6 words on 7 lines and you're done. They're making money out of that. So when you see a rule that says that, look behind it, what you're trying to sell me. And if it's, well, I'm selling you this book or this course, that's why they're doing it. There are no golden rules, apart from the fact there are no rules. Do what works. That's it. But that does mean you need to sit down and think. And I think people find comfort in rules. And I work with the principle that there isn't. Right, let's get on with this then. Okay, so I was saying we've got the paper cut font, we've got the dogs, and we've got that summer vibes, because what we're doing is we're going to build up that kit, that comic creation kit. So make sure that you've been and downloaded all of those as well. And then we are finally on to it. Comic Creation Kit Part 1. Now, I did briefly cover this before. This came out of me creating a comic with Comic Life. And it's a fantastic app. It's cross-platform, Mac, Windows, and there's a version for iOS. And it's an amazing application. And I made those with it. And if you remember, there were hundreds and hundreds of pages of it. There was about 13 pages, and it was great. It worked fantastic. The longest thing that I was doing there, to be honest, was corralling the pictures together. The rest of it was easy. But the one thing I had with it that I found to be a problem was that it was slowing down. And once I got all of those pages in it, it was not having it full stop. So what I wanted to be able to do was replicate the ability to do that in another app. And it didn't even matter to me which app. And I came across some problems, and I'm through the process of addressing them all. So part one, the apps that you could use for this. So I'm going to try and do this with a few apps. I'm not going to try and limit it to one. First of all, I figured my best bet was Affinity Publisher, because I want something that's A4. I might want to print this out. In fact, people have asked for copies of that at A4, so they can put it in a little certificate frame. So I wanted something that was A4, and I wanted it to be multi-page. Affinity Publisher is going to be able to do that for me. But I'm also going to need to be using Affinity Designer to create some of the assets. But mindful of the fact that not everybody has Affinity Publisher or Affinity Designer, I also decided to take a look at, could you do what we're about to do in that with Keynote, because Keynote's free. And the good news is the majority of it, you probably can. It will take you longer, but you probably can. So tonight we're going to take it up to the page layout stage. So this is going to be a multi-part thing. I'm starting with assets, and by far the quickest way to get your assets is to buy a bundle of assets. So one of the ones that's currently available is called the Vintage Comics Bundle. This is from Mighty Deals. Now this one is particularly cost effective. You can see from this the kind of thing that they're aiming at. It's got a certain palette of colours that give it that kind of old style feeling, but it's also got that kind of warm paper thing going on as well. So those are like the sci-fi ones, aren't they? Now the good thing about this is it will give you something to get going with for only $9. Now I only took a few of those things there. Let me have a look. I had this open somewhere. Oh, I did. I know I did. I have no idea where now. Let's go to Mighty Deals. Right, I'll show you. Here we go. Oh, you're going to need to shrink a bit, aren't you? Right, let's go to Mighty Deals. And I will search for comic. So, comic. And it will come up with a couple of bundles. There is the first one. Oh, it was $7. Good grief, I thought it was $9. Even better bargain. So what you get in here, it tells you the list of what you get, and you'll get it in Illustrator, EPS, PNG, JPEGs. It does say Photoshop brush format, that's an ABR, but that can be opened by Affinity, so no problem with that. Those are the couple of pictures that you saw, but as you go through here, you've also got half-tone brushes. Now, I will be showing you in the upcoming weeks where you can get stuff like that for free, but this enables you to not waste your time looking around for free stuff. You could just use what was in here. So if you wanted a head start with it, it's got your speech bubbles in it as well, your graphic elements. It's actually got quite a lot of stuff in there, including the frames. Hold on to that thought about frames, as well as textures and papers, and you can see the kind of thing that you can create. So if you were interested in following along with this and you wanted a head start, that's one option for you. The other one was...
I'll stick the link in.
Yes, you can stick the link in for that, Mike. The other one is called Fresh Cartoons. Now, this one's a lot more expensive. It's $29. I looked at this and I thought, I think they're great. But it was one of those things where, you know, there's 8,000 characters, but how many of them am I really going to use? And the answer for me was not many. You know, I remember one MacBites, I needed Captain Sensible. Well, I'm not going to find Captain Sensible in there, even though there's 8,000 of them, so I drew it myself. But if you wanted a collection of characters to use as a starting point, that's not a bad option. And that was in here. So if I go back, it came up when I looked up cartoons. Now, the good thing with this is you do get a very, very good preview. So as you scroll down here, you do get a fantastic preview of what is in there. So if you wanted a certain set of characters like that, maybe for a presentation, like a school presentation where you wanted to have like relatable characters and you wanted them in different poses, then that's great. That might work fantastically for you. You've got salespeople. I think there was, well, there's business women there. There was all kinds of stuff. The cooking one I loved, especially after my ventures into the kitchen this week. I wonder why there was a waitress and not a waiter, but never mind. Doctors, so there was a whole load of them. So again, just a fantastic start if you are drawing challenged. There are, however, lots that you can get for free. So I'm just mentioning this at the beginning because sometimes you just need to get going with it. You just need a starting point. Because I'm a little bit like the presentation. You need to probably be, at the moment, concentrating on the skills you'll learn in Affinity Publisher, Designer, and Keynote, rather than, oh gosh, now I've got to draw something that looks half decent. So if you are drawing challenged, you could start with this if you wanted to. So it's not compulsory, just if you wanted to. Right, but I'm going to be concentrating. I'm going to take you through the majority of what I'll be covering across the whole thing, which will be over a couple of weeks. Well, a few weeks, actually. We'll be looking at backgrounds. We'll be looking at backgrounds tonight, where to get them from. And you'll see there, that background is a grass background, which is very similar to what I wanted. So I'm going to be recreating the one I did in Comic Life. You will also be looking at page layouts. And what I mean by page layouts is cartoon layouts. If I put that up, showed you that, you'd instantly know that was a comic. I would hope you would instantly know that that was a comic. I have got the link for that, Mike. Feel free to share that, the page layout ones. I'm going to go through them now, so share these. Some of these are purchasable. I think that one's a purchasable one. That one is. It's from 123RF. That was another one. But really just to show you, that's a comic layout. Can you do that in Designer? Yes. Can you do that in Keynote? Yes. Just have a think about what kind of layouts you might want to create. Now that one, that last one, is from Flickr. And I do believe that one can be downloaded for free. So just have a think about layouts. I'll be showing you how to create various layouts. But you can get these from online for free or paid and to give you a head start. We will also be looking at gradients because a lot of comics have got gradients. And of course, speech bubbles. You can never have too many speech bubbles. We'll also be looking at fonts. Brace yourself for the next slide. Halftone patterns. You can't have a comic without halftone patterns. The best app I've seen for halftone patterns is actually Pixelmator. So I might have a look at Superdog. I did a demo well, 4 or 5 years ago about Superdog. And I turned Superdog, who was a Labrador just lying on the grass, into a cartoon superhero dog with just some halftone patterns. So I'll show you how that works. Might make a note, Pixelmator, halftone. There's characters, which we've just seen that you can get characters. So there's lots of characters that you can get for free, and I'll be looking at that in an upcoming week. And actions, because, you know, what's a comic without your pow and boof and all of that? That's just a selection of the things that I'll be looking at across this whole demo, but the demo will go on for more than 1 week. Where I want to get this week is to the point that we have got a file, a document that's set up correctly to do this with, that we've got a background in it, and how on earth do you do it in Keynote? Because Keynote is not intended to do documents, is it? It's for presentations. So this is Affinity Publisher, and the first thing to do is to get the file created that I want for my football comic. So File New, and we talked about project-based demos, and you said you would like some. So consider this first project-based demo. We've seen this dialog box when we looked at Affinity Publisher, but it's more a kind of touristy view of the new document dialogue, isn't it? It's a very different business when you're looking at it thinking, I need to create a comic and it needs to be A4 and I need this and I need that. Now you've actually got to think. So it is for print if I want to print it, which I probably do. And even if I don't want to print it, I can still, if it's set up for print, save it out as JPEGs. So print is absolutely fine. I want to create it for the best quality that I need. Then I need a page preset. Now, you could go for A4. Maybe if you're printing it yourself and you'd like it a booklet, A5 might be better, because you would be able to print out an A5 booklet on your A4 printer. For me, printers are spawn of the devil. I no longer have a colour one, I have pensioned it off. And the black and white one has taken one on itself and is telling me it's got no toner. This was 2 days after I fitted a brand new toner. So at the moment, I'm quite happy to go for A4 because I've got a working printer anyway. I'm going to leave it in millimetres. Now, image placement policy. Do I prefer embedded or do I prefer linked? And the answer to that is, it's up to you. For me, I want them embedded. I want to be able to transport this publisher file and it have everything in it. I don't want to try opening it and then be told this image is missing and that image is missing. And I've dragged and dropped it in from the downloads folder and now I've moved it and I've no idea where the image is. So it's safer for me to have them embedded. So I'm going to go for embedded. Now, the number of pages, I'm not sure at the moment. But I know I'm going to want at least 4. I'm probably going to want more. But I'll set it up as 4 because that way I can show you how to add pages later. Then there's an option to use the default master. What that's talking about is it's like a template. So if you think about Keynote, we have master slides. Well, we have master pages in Publisher, and one of them could be a default one. So I'm going to leave that checked. It won't actually do any harm. I will show you what it does do, and you may decide that you don't want to use it, in which case you might want to go back and take the tick out of that box. But I'm going to leave it, and then I'll show you what it does. The next thing in the layout is to determine whether I want this portrait or landscape. The 210mm and the 297mm are because I've chosen A4. The portrait option will mean it's portrait rather than landscape. I find it odd that that's not some kind of toggle, because basically to make it landscape I've got to take a tick out of a box that says portrait. It works, but you've got to maybe have to stop and think about that. Then do I want facing pages? Well, given that it's a comic, I do. And I do want it to start on the right and be displayed horizontally, so that's absolutely fine. I might decide in here to up my DPI to 400, just for quality's sake. And then I go into the colour. I'm going to leave that at RGB, that's absolutely fine, but you may need to change that if you're having this printed commercially. So you will change that to whatever your print output determines. Then we need the margins. Now at the moment there's no margins included, and I do like to include a bit of a margin, but an inch, which is 25mm, is far too much. I could retrieve it from the printer, but I might not be printing it on the printer that I retrieve it from, so I don't do that. And I know that my margins I would like to be 10mm all the way around, apart from, so disconnect, the bottom one, which I'll have at 15. Just because I might want to put a page number on it. So I'll leave it like that. Then I can put a bleed on if I want to put a bleed on. Now, you would put a bleed on if you were having this, again, commercially printed. You don't need a bleed if you're not going to the edge. And I don't intend to go to the edge. But depending on how you are printing it, you might find that you do need a bleed on it. And if you do, that is where you specify it. And that's it. You've now gone through that dialogue with a specific project in mind, which has actually made you think, which you don't think when you just look at it and think, I'll just do it A4 and that'll be fine. We've thought it through. It's going to be fine. It's going to be right. So if I flick to my pages in here, we'll see what that's done. It's put in the 4 pages. Page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 4, I told it to do. These 2 are in a spread, because I told it to start on the right-hand side. Okay, Peter, I hope you quieten her down. You could always make her listen. Makes a lot of people nod off, Right, okay. Now, you'll notice when I hover over this, so page 1, as I hovered, go on, don't make a liar out of me, it says Master A. And what it's talking about is the master pages up here. So we have 2 types of pages in the pages dialog. We have proper pages that we look at, and we have master pages, which are like templates. They are template pages. They are a starting point for your page. And the reason that this one is saying Master A, in fact, they are all saying Master A, is because I had a tick in the box that said default master. And A is the default master. If you're wondering why we have in here a left side and a right side, it's because it will use this half on the right-hand side for right-hand pages and what's on the left-hand side for the left-hand pages. Just in case you think I could be fibbing to you, let's go in there and put L for left over there, and you see what happens straight away? Over in my pages dialog, we'll change that to right. And what happens down here is, that is a right-hand page, that's a left-hand page, that's a right-hand page, and that's a left-hand page. So that is how it works. Anything that's on this master will ripple through to the pages that have that applied as a master. And that happened automatically. Now, the good news is we are not limited in any way, shape or form to just one master. You can have as many as you like. So we could have layout pages that look incredibly different, and we will be doing. Other thing to point out, the margin here that's in blue is 10 millimeters from the top, the right, the left, and the bottom. The bottom is 15. Obviously, I put 15 at the bottom. So I now have scope down there for putting page numbers. So it took notice of what I put in there, 10, 10, 10, 15. Right, now, that's the basis of our document. So I'm going to save that as comic, put it in Affinity Publisher, and we're good to go. Next thing to think about is, actually, yes, we've got that in here. Who remembers Studio Link and what Studio Link does? I wonder if you remember, because the second application was Affinity Designer. Now, there are tools in Designer that are not available in Publisher. Studio Link enables me to literally just click and now I'm in Designer. All the tools are Designer, everything is Designer. I will be using that. Now, if you don't have Publisher and you would like to create this in Designer, that's very simple as well. I don't want you. What I want is to open Designer independently. And if you're thinking, no, this is going to be too hard. No. I've done this. I did this for, let's make a new one. I did this for that brochure that went off to Manchester United for print. For 2 years, it lived in Affinity Designer. It started life in InDesign and it went to Affinity Designer, and I managed the 8 pages that it was, and now it's 12 or 16, in Designer. So it can be done. What you need to do when you're setting it up is go to print, choose A4. I would create an artboard. Your colour settings are in there. They're exactly the same as Publisher. Your settings in here are exactly the same as Publisher. There's your margin settings. Guess what? Exactly the same as Publisher, just displayed slightly differently. Disconnect that and put 15 at the bottom. And there's the bleed. So everything that we've looked at in Publisher is there in Designer. So we will be able to set this up perfectly. There is your first page. Obviously, you are going to have to go in there and put page 1. And then, if you use your artboard tool, you can go and insert an artboard and insert and insert and insert. And we had 4 pages, didn't we? So there you go. There's your 4 pages. If I do that, you can see your 4 pages. Page 1 on this side, and then I would rename them. So page 2 would be that one. And you have now created exactly the same as I created in Publisher. So if you don't have Publisher, you can still follow along with this Comic Creation Kit demonstration very easily. And page doesn't have 2 G's in it, woman. There you go. So that's a way to do it in Designer. So let's save that as Designer Comic. There we go. Right, so let's come out of that. Now, it gets a little bit trickier if you don't have Designer and you don't have Publisher and you want to use our friend Keynote. Right, let's go. Oh, yes, let's go back into Keynote and let's have a look at it. Right, if we try making a new file in here, you've got three options. You can create a standard one, which is a 4:3 ratio. You can create a widescreen presentation, which is a 16:9 ratio. Or you can use something called My Themes. My Themes, I only have the one. It's blank. I like to start with nothing. So mine's blank, so we won't be starting with that. You won't have that one anyway. So you would choose one of these as a starting point, which will give you a problem. I'll have a look. It doesn't matter whether you choose standard or widescreen. You're still going to have the same problem. So choose. And your problem is, if we look at that, even if that was anywhere near an A4 size, it's the wrong way around. Now, you can go in and you can fiddle. That's the good news. You can fiddle. So let's go in here and look at the slide size. Standard 4:3, widescreen 16:9, or custom. In points. Now, in points, what size is an A4 piece of paper? Now, that's a trick question. That would depend. There is an accepted size, but you might want it double for retina viewing or something. So it's not an easy question to answer that at all. One thing you can do in here is you can, even though it's Keynote, you could flip that round. If you put 1080 in the first one and 1920 in the second, you will make the width 1080 and the height 1920. Now it starts to look like a document. So that's the good news. It's not A4 though, is it? We can tell that just by looking at it. However, there is good news. There is a foolproof way of doing this if you have PowerPoint. And if you don't have PowerPoint, don't forget there is the free version of PowerPoint you can use in a browser. You can also use it, I believe, on tablets. Is it still free if it's less than 10 inches? It used to be free on 9.7-inch iPads. You didn't need to activate it. But fear not, if you don't want to go through all of that faff and palaver, when I've done what I have done tonight, I will make it available for download. So this is how PowerPoint is your friend. We open up PowerPoint, which I may or may not already have had open. Oh, there we go. Right, I'm just going to make a blank presentation. Now, I've still got the same problem with this, because it's clearly for a widescreen projector. It's not A4 size. But in the design in here, you can... Was it design? Yes, it was design. Slide size. Awesome. I have the same standard and widescreen, but I can go into page setup. And look what I've got. A4 paper. Ah, bliss. They realise, Microsoft, that you may want to make a presentation and print it out to A4 paper. Apple don't accept this, but that does give you down here a size in centimetres. No idea what that's doing, because that's not quite right, is it? It should be a width of 210. What's it thinking? Okay, well, let's type in 21 centimetres. Can we use millimetres? That'll work out a whole lot easier. And it was 297 millimetres. So now we know what it is. That will work beautifully. Or it should do. Let's have a look what it does. I don't care, because I'm going to delete it. So I'll just say scale it up. Not interested. Okay, that is an A4 piece of paper now. The content, I don't care. I absolutely don't care. All I care about is that that presentation is now A4. And remember what I'm trying to do. I'm going to form the basis of our comic tonight. We're going to get to the point we've got a layout to work with. But at the moment, what I've got is an unsaved PowerPoint file that is A4. That's critical. It's A4, guaranteed. So I'm going to save it, and I'm going to put it on the desktop. And I'm actually going to call it A4, so I know it's A4. And just save it. Because I don't use PowerPoint. If you do use PowerPoint, then that's it, you're done. You just carry on what I'm going to show you now in Keynote. So close that down. Right, this Keynote file, not good. So we'll leave that alone. It's the wrong size, so we'll delete that. This is my PowerPoint file that is A4. that if I right click, I can open with and choose Keynote. And at which point it will convert it to a Keynote file. When I come to save it, instead of automatically saving it as a PowerPoint file, it's having a think about it. It's on the other screen. Having a think. Oh, you've opened it up on the other screen. That wasn't helpful. There we go. And that's saying A42, so version 2 of that, because it's going to want to save it as a Keynote file. Couple of things I personally would do at this stage, but if I just do that and show you, that is A4. Brilliant, isn't it? That's how I actually do it when I need to create something in A4 for somebody in Keynote. Because a lot of people want to make layout documents and they're not very good with pages. Maybe they've used Keynote a lot or they understand PowerPoint. When it comes to layout, you can use whatever app you like. It doesn't matter. There's just a couple of things to know. So one is how to make something A4 in Keynote. That's the answer. Create it in PowerPoint and then open it in Keynote. If you can't do that, download the one that I will create for you. The second thing to think about in here at this stage is, what's this thing? I don't want this. Whatever this is, I'm not interested. Don't want it. There may be stuff in here that is there, has come through from PowerPoint, and we want to get rid of it. So let's have a look at the master slides. Oh boy, there's lots of stuff here. Now, something like that might not actually look bad, but we've got a blank one there, so I would probably take that blank one to the top. A blank one is probably what I'm going to use the most. Then there's a title. Not bad. I'm probably much more likely to use that one at the beginning of a chapter or something like that. And then there's that one with title only, so I would probably have that under that. So I would make a couple of changes in terms of these. And if there's someone I think, I'm never going to use this. It's horrible. Never going to use it. I mean, that's just in the middle of nowhere. Delete them. Get rid of them. If there's anything, so it's saying one slide's currently using this master, we'll just use the blank one. What I actually tend to do, I start from scratch. I don't do any of this business. I just delete the lot. But your mileage may vary, so I'll leave it alone. So that's what we've got. We've deleted one. Got rid of the one we're never going to use. And OK. So now I've got nothing on here at all. But what we do have, so I'm hitting save, and I'm going to put it, I'll leave it in this folder here. This is my A4 comic. There we go. So what I've done is I've created in 3 applications the document framework. We've done it in Publisher, in Designer and Keynote. We're ready to go. Now we need to get some assets together. So let's go get Firefox and bring that on. Excellent, there we go. Now, a good place to start for great quality graphics that are free is Pixabay. Now I need one that's got grass on it as a background. So I'll put grass on there. I hope Safe Search is on, you never know what it might come up with. And let's have a look. I mean, some of them are beautiful, but they're not really what I'm looking for as a background. But just a minute, that one looks perfect. That should work brilliantly. So I'll download that. Now, in terms of download size, you can probably get away with the 1039 by 1920. I must admit, I always tend to go for the better quality. Ooh, got a question there from Neil. Silly question, apologise in advance. Why would you use Keynote and not Pages? Hasn't Pages got the same drawing tools? It does. Pages freaks people out. I really don't know why. I agree with you. It's very, very similar. And it does have the benefit of sections. But people just seem more comfortable in Keynote. I have no idea why. There are things that Pages used to do, which would make me use Pages. It used to do mail merge. It doesn't anymore. Other than that, I would be using Pages. I think it's just a thing of being familiar with the fact that in people's minds, Pages is for words and Keynote's for drawing. And once somebody's got that in their mind, there's no shifting it. So in here, I tend to go for the best quality that I can get. So that's one. I also would like one that is wood, like a wooden background. So just put wood in and I get lots of different options. These are all great for backgrounds. You've got this one that's vertical, we've got a horizontal one. This one's in different colours, but if we actually look at that, the quality of the download here, 3200 by 200 pixels, we wouldn't even need to use the bit with the flowers on. We could just use that beautiful colour of wood. So I'll grab that one. Now be careful when you're using these. The ones at the bottom are sponsored images. So while they look fantastic, I ignore them. I look at the related images over here. None of those are particularly what I'm looking for, so I'll go back. I like that one. I like that one. That one's got possibilities. Oh, now that one's handy. That one is like that one, but without the flower. So that'll do nicely. That was pretty decent as well. And, you know, if you wanted anything else like a wall or whatever. So once you've got these all keyed up, I would then download them. Now, I'm going to download a handful of them because I don't want it to get uppity that I'm downloading lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff. So I'm going to go with the other one. I'll download that one. And that first one we saw, which I think... we'll go for that one, which is the other way round. There we go. Should we take that one for good measure? There we go. So that's all of the stuff downloaded. What I will do now is look at it in the Finder. So it's opened that on the other screen for me. You're hoping mail merge returns. I've been hoping mail merge returns for ages. In 2012, I did a demo of a mail merge between pages and numbers. And I made a WWDC, well, it was a bingo card. Did we actually call it bullshit bingo? It was a bingo card. Buzzword bingo. Yeah. That's what we called it, buzzword bingo. And it was fabulous to be able to mail merge it. When they ripped the feature out, I had no option. I had to go to Word and Excel. Never done the bingo card since. Nightmare scenario. It was horrible. It couldn't cope at all. But it used to work beautifully. So you never know. Maybe. Maybe one day. When they see Affinity doing well, maybe they will. Who knows? Right, so I intend to start off with Publisher. Let's whip back to Publisher. And make some masters. Now, a couple of options when you're making the masters. First thing I'm going to do is bring in the image. There's the image. Now, you're making a master here. So one thing you could do is scale it so you've got... What are you doing? I was holding down a key there, so you would do that properly, and you are ignoring me. Never mind. Right, one option you can use is to scale it so the height's right, and then move it to where you're happy with it. So maybe you would like that dark bit over the other side, like that. And then duplicate that on the other side. Now, using that methodology, let's have a look at it. You would need to get rid of this overhang, which you can do with the vector crop tool. So now it's the right size for one side. So if you look here, you've got it on your master on the left-hand side, which has pushed it through to the two left-hand pages. Then hold down the Option key and you drag exactly the same thing onto the other page. And now in your pages, you've got a great layout. But it's obvious that these things are repeated, that you've got the same exact element on both sides. So your other option, if I undo that, get it back to, we've got all this width. Nothing to stop you leaving that, keying that up somewhere where there's a break in the wood like that, that's going right through the middle. And now you've got a different pattern on the left to the right. It won't matter on those pages, the right-hand pages, or the left-hand pages, although you'll see at the moment I do have a problem, and that is that I need to crop it. I need to do a vector crop to get that down to the right size, otherwise it will hang around, ripple through and bother me. So I've cropped it down both sides. Now when I go in here, it doesn't make a difference to that one or that one, but you can see they're not the same anymore. And when you look at a spread, you have that going all the way across. It's a true spread. Obviously, it's a bit on the dark side, isn't it? Although it's comic and we're going to put stuff on the top of it, that is possibly a little bit too dark. But we can use our colours and our strokes and our opacities and do things like that with it. You could even put a colour wash over the top of it if you wanted to. So whatever you need to do with it to get it to look right for the look that you're looking for. And at that stage, we've got one master. But we can create another one. So this one says Master B, but what I'm going to do is call this Grass. It makes more sense. And I want it over facing pages, and I want it portrait and all the rest of it. That's absolutely perfect. Margins, it will use what I specified originally. If you want them different, you can do. But I'll just do that. And now I have one underneath called Grass. Now I need to go and get the grass image and add that to it. So drag and drop the image. Now that image, I might decide, because I'm going to have to stretch it widthways. Don't think it looks too silly though. Don't think it looks too silly. That actually just fits perfectly. I could stretch it out, but at that stage it starts to look odd, maybe. Maybe not. Actually doesn't look bad, does it? Yeah, we'll leave it like that. Doesn't look bad. Right, so we got a second master. We have the A, which is the wood, and we have what was the B, which is the grass. But it's not applied, and I would like that applied at the moment. All you need to do to apply it is grab it and drag it over the page. Simple as. Drag, drop. You can right-click on it and apply master, and then go and choose which one from a list, preview, and then fill all of this in. But it's actually far easier to just drag and drop it. And now they are all using that grass one. You can also, as you saw there, you can go in and where are we looking? Spread properties, where it says Master A, call that wood. And at that point, you have got the beginnings of your comic. You have now got two masters. How would you do that in Designer? So let's go into Designer. Did I actually close that down? I think I did. It's thinking about it. Oh, I did. That was silly, wasn't it? In Designer, you don't have that concept of pages particularly. You've got artboards, and you do have on there elements, and you have groups. So you could certainly put it on there. So if we drag and drop the grass one in, you can scale it beautifully so it fits your page like that. So get that in there. You could make a symbol of it. You could add it as an asset. There's lots of things that you could do. It's not publisher, but it can be done. So I could take that and I could put that over there on page 2 and so forth, getting it on the other pages. So let's click Artboard 3. Come on, you can do it. Don't try editing the text. I know I'm stressing the machine, but don't get giddy. And 4. So you can do it like that. So it is doable. It's doable. Right, the other one was Keynote. Well, we've actually pretty much seen that tonight, haven't we? So let me get my comic. There's my A4 comic. We've seen that you can change the master and edit the master. So we've got all of these masters, but nothing to stop you duplicating a master. And we could call that one grass. Then go get it. So my grass image, just drag and drop it in. Obviously in here, absolutely huge, because this isn't working at the DPI that the other ones are, but it's still a matter of scaling it down. What I do, I'm a whiz with this, I must admit. I am a whiz with this. If I knew the points width of this, of the page, I'd just type them in there. I have no idea what that actually is because I haven't looked. But if you are interested, you can go in there. 595 by 841. So back in here, choose this. 595. 595. 841 at 0 and 0. Oh, no, I went wrong there. 545. If I hold the shift key. Oh, why aren't you doing it? Oh, because I've got constrained doodles put on. Let's undo that. That one was clearly right. 841 was fine. Let's stretch it out. Take the constraint off. Put in what it should be. Make sure it's set to 0 and 0, and then put the constraint back on. That'll make sure it works. So that one's got that one. Then, of course, duplicate again, because we've got the wood one to do. Double click in there. Call that wood. Go find it. Let's use a different one. Let's be wild and adventurous. Oh, we could use that brick one. No, I've called it wood now. Ooh, that one will do. That one will do. And again, it's massively, massively massive. Let's go for 5. Ah, I see the issue. Right, let's do that. Let's stretch that out. And there we go. Oh, that's pretty good. Liking that. Then, to apply them, you just change the master. So let's get ourselves a new slide. It uses the master that you currently used, but you can change that. There you go. So hopefully you'll be able to see by this point, doesn't really matter what software you're using. And as Neil's pointed out, you know, there's pages as well. You could probably do this in Word if you really, really wanted to. I've had to limit myself to the number of apps that I am going to attempt this in. And to me, Publisher's probably the best one to do it in, because I remember I want to build a kit. That's at the end of this multi-week extravaganza, I will have built a kit. And neither Keynote or PowerPoint, they don't have all the features that will help me make these comics quickly. And if you remember back to what I'm trying to do, it's actually the Comic Life Replacement project I'm trying to work on. Okay, let's get this one out of the way now. Let's go back to Publisher. Because the next thing to think about is that's all very well. What I've got there are some master pages. I think I want to work more on these master pages though, because I'd like some variation in them. If we went back, let's go back. Let's have a look at this. Now, you're going to need to bear with me while I actually find the darn thing. But if we look at some of the original imagery, the white border has been put on for effect in Keynote, but the inner white border that's on the grass was part of the style. Some of the pages had it. That one didn't. That one didn't. That one did, though. Some had it, some didn't. So I clearly had 2 different types of master pages in there. So let's do that. Let's create those master pages. Don't disappear on me. I'm jiggling around in a Keynote here, live. That's scary. Okay, right. Let's come out of it. So I could do with duplicating that and adding in those frames. So I can duplicate it. And let's put there. Let's go to Properties. Spread Properties. Grass with frame. And because I set the margins up, making the frames going to be a doddle, all I need to do is think about what sort of frame is it. Well, it's actually just an outline that I want, but because I've put the margins, can you see it twanging to it? You're getting a green line that's going off at the top and bottom. That's going to make it really easy to put it in the right place. Now I know what you're thinking. Yeah, that's white. It is. And you could possibly leave that there because you're going to put your frames on top of it. But I just want that white frame in the background, so I need to start thinking about that. I don't want to fill on it. I do want a white border on it. But at the moment, it's that tiny I can't see it. So let's bring it up so I can. That's better. Now, I might at this stage want to zoom in, because what looks right on here, when you print it out, less so. So, for instance, it's got a rounded corner on it. The cap is rounded, and I would like it square. It's not the cap, is it? It's the join. I would like the join square. And then it's a matter of finding the sweet spot for size. So 4 may very well be a decent size for it. But I don't really have to worry about it. If it's not right, remember I'm doing it on the master, so I can change it globally. Now, in here, I've got that selected, and I go Edit Copy. I go to this one, and I could paste it, but it's already there. So what I can do is paste the style. So I've copied the whole shape, but I'm only pasting its shape properties. And now I've got grass with frame. I could do exactly the same with the wood one. Having said that, might want to do something different with the wood one in terms of giving me an area that I can actually work with. So if I go back to the colours and flip it over again, but this time in here, change the opacity of that from 100 to a little bit less, say 50, 60, maybe 60. There we go. I could use dark text on that. It's crying out for brown text, that is. And then put that across there. Now, of course, having done that, the one thing I didn't do was I didn't duplicate it first, did I? This one should be wood with frame. But no harm done, easily fixed. Go back to the wood one and just delete the bits I don't want. And it's that simple to make extra copies of the masters. Now, when it comes to applying them, so let's say I wanted the back cover there to have one of those. Again, just drag drop it. Very, very, very simple to do all of that. So at that page, we've got as far as the backgrounds using page masters. The next thing to think about is the actual content in terms of your comic. So I had a few links, didn't I? Which if I'm really lucky, I might actually be able to find. I had links to these to go and have a look at them, page layouts. So let's go and have a look. In fact, I'll show you some freebies. Mike's having a problem copying these in. I don't know why.
I'll try it.
Well, I'm not going to use the ones that I'm just going to do it live.
Oh,
so it's free picks, isn't it?
Free pick.
I'll look up free picks. There we go, free pick. Is that the one that you're having trouble with, free pick?
Free pick.
Free pick usually works really well and the quality is fantastic. Right, some of these are premium, some of them are not. If they're premium, they tend to have a gold crown on them. So most of those look like they're free. But in here, if I put comic, let's see what it's got for comic. Show me what you've got. And straight away, I get some really useful stuff here. That one is crying out to be used, isn't it? That is crying out to be used. I could make that into a background, so I'll download that. If you want to try doing that, Mike, just try doing it. And now, they do like you to attribute here, attribute the author. You'll see there, a horse gets its horn and becomes a unicorn.
No, it doesn't like it.
No, it doesn't like it. So try and use the link that you see up there, or just follow what I'm doing because I'm just typing things in. So that horse will become a unicorn if I copy and attribute the author. So I hit that button and the horse becomes a unicorn. I mean, who doesn't want the horse to become a unicorn? Right, so I've got this yellow comic down there. Let's open that. It's in my downloads folder. I open it up and that's what I've got. I have an EPS of it, which will take forever and a day to open. And I've got a JPEG of it there. So how simple it would be to use that as a background, well, it's exactly what you've already seen. The most difficult part, I suppose, is getting a new one, which is this one would be, we'll just say Orange Blast. That'll work. Orange Blast. Right, so we have a new page, and I'm dragging and dropping in that JPEG. Now, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't want to link them. Just embed it. Just be told. Right, there's my graphic. Stretch that out across there. Make it the right size. And it's that simple. So when I say Comic Creation Kit, I would be putting this in some kind of asset management system. So I can look and see all of the comic assets that I use. But we will be working up to that. That will be the last thing that we do. And then from that point forward, making comics should be much, much, much easier. But to get back to our images in here, because that was one thing we could do, but it's things like this layout. Now that layout looks fantastic, but you'll see it's got the gold crown on it. Oh, boo hiss. But you could always buy them. If they are useful to you, you can get a subscription to this and you can use them. However, that one there, not bad at all. And that is a layout. So let's download that. No, I don't want this. Let's just download that. And this time, what happens to the dinosaur? The T-Rex gets his coffee. So I have copied and attributed and he gets to drink his coffee, bless him. Oh, it's all fun, isn't it? Right, so it should have downloaded that into my downloads folder. And there we go. So that's what you get in that one. Again, you've got your license for free. You've got your license for premium if you bought it. You've got your JPEG and you have an EPS. Now, a JPEG's not bad, but to use the EPS is probably a better bet. So to use that, open it up with your vector editor of choice, which for me is Designer. But any vector editor will do. Oh, good grief. What has it done? It should not be looking like that. Good grief. That looks a bit better, doesn't it? I have no idea what's wrong with that. Whoa, that doesn't look good. Okay, it's only that image bit. That's not right. All of that's right. Unfortunately, the bit that I wanted to use was part of the frame, which has vanished. Not good. Okay, but as you can see, there's a frame and it's just a line. So although you can download these and you could use them, that styling of that one looks very similar to what I did in my comic. You can create all of this yourself. I should test these things, shouldn't I? But I decided to just go for it live. But you can do this, so it's not a problem. Right, you have a pen tool. Now, bearing in mind at the moment, I'm working on the master, and I probably don't want to be. So let's add that to my document and go down to page 2. So I'm now working on page 2. With my pen tool, I can actually draw a frame. So let's go full width up there. I'm going to have a comic like that. I now have a shape that I can put a border on if I want. Now that one was black, but you could have it white if you prefer. Doesn't matter. You can change the stroke. So if you want it more than that, you can do that. Now because it's at an angle, you may well decide with that one that the square edge doesn't work as well as it might. In which case you might want that to be a rounded edge. I probably wouldn't have it that thick myself, though I think 4 was absolutely fine. Now at that point, what you've got is a shape. But you can see, now when it comes to using images, we've looked at this before, but just in case you don't remember, we can draw out a placeholder like that. And that's a placeholder for images. This one that I've just drawn is not a placeholder for images. It's just a frame. It's just a shape that I have drawn. But you can draw any shape you like and then convert it to either a picture frame or a text frame. So I'm going to convert that to a picture frame, and now it's a picture frame. Which should tell you, as long as you can draw stuff, you can make it whatever you like. Now, if you can't draw stuff, you might be like, "Ooh, I can't draw." Use these as templates. Now, that one didn't work well, did it? It didn't like that at all. I bet you that would open perfectly in Illustrator. Let's have a look what we've got. We got anything else? That one? Is that one any better? Will that disappear? Oh, let's feed him again. Right, let's open that up. And have a look at that. So we've got our EPS. Oh dear. My browser's getting uppity now. In fact, the whole machine's getting uppity. And when that happened last week, it didn't end well, did it? YouTube kicked me off for about 2 minutes. Right, I am opening this up with Affinity Designer, and if that doesn't work too well... Oh, it worked fine this time, didn't it? Excellent. Right, what I could do with that then, I'm just going to take... See, they've just made that a group, just lines. It's literally just white line. In fact, it's white lines. So if we turned off those white lines, all we've got behind it is that. So they've done it in a kind of reverse way. They've put colours together and then put lines across. You could do it that way if you wanted. I would have thought of doing it that way myself. But you could do that. So what I'll do with that is I will copy that and with a bit of luck, paste it into here. Let's see if it likes that. It might not like it at all. I am not sure. Let's have a look. Going to paste it in. Oh, you are. Excellent. Now, I wouldn't be using that because if you look at it, we've got all sorts sticking out of the side and stuff. But what I could do is use it as a starting point. So if you can't draw, this is what you can do. So let's just drag it about, and a little bit skewed, but never mind. Let's say that's the kind of layout I want. What I would do with it is lock that layer so I can't move it, and then use my pen tool to recreate it with my shapes. So what I'm doing here is hopefully getting to that corner, which is my bit there. There's my first bit. I'm going across to about there, going down to there, down to there, and up to there. And what I'll do is, so you can actually see it, I'll give it a fill. And we will put a turquoise, oh no, it's not, there we go, turquoisey fill in there. Go back and get the pen again, start up here, draw down to there, and you are creating what will become reusable layouts. So that one's there, give that a fill. What colour's that? It's kind of burnt colour, isn't it? There we go. I will do the other three, just so you can see it is incredibly simple. And down from this corner up to about there, across to there, down to there, and it should be, let's make that a yellowy colour, yellower colour. Two more to do, one from there, and I'm going right to the edge of it because I want it to line up with the margins that I set, like that, and give that a lurid pink colour. Down to here. Oh, he needed to go further. Let's go right down to there with that one. Now that is trying to line that up. And if I don't want it to be lined up, if I want it to be there, I can zoom in to make sure it doesn't line it up. And there's the last one, and that is a blue colour. Now, if I've actually put it in here, what are you doing to me? Want it out of there. And turn that layer off. I now have my layout. Now I use those colours so we could see where I was putting it. But I can grab hold of the lot and make sure there's no fill on them. Go over to the border, and if I wanted, give that a black border. At that point, you might think, yeah, but it's not quite a comic. There's something not right. What isn't right with it is the gaps between them usually tend to be white. Now, they'd look better if they were proper frames. So one thing I can do is convert them all to picture frames before we go any further. So picture frame, a picture frame, and a picture frame. There we go. But if you would like a white background behind it, it could not be easier. Although I am drawing that in. And it is black, it won't be in a second, it will be white. Now obviously that's not too good either. It just needs to be in the right stacking order. And when these have got images in them, which admittedly at the moment they don't, do I have something I could throw in there that you would let me use? I've got that picture of a cat. I bet it won't. I bet it won't. It's opening it. There we go. It's doing it in preview. That's not particularly helpful, is it? Right, if I do a save as and save that to the desktop as something smaller than that. Nice little JPEG. Desktop. No, not you. Something smaller. Yeah, 1 meg. That'll do nicely. And close that down. Right, can we get that dragged and dropped in there? Because that's a frame. Hang on, I've got the wrong bit selected. Right, where are you? Let's drag and drop you in there. There we go. So I'll use the same image in all of them. Obviously you wouldn't, this is a demo. I'll make sure this is has got proper stuff in it next week. Now I let the cat go in the wrong place, so it opened it up. It's a little bit finicky with that. You need to see a pink border at the point you let go. There we go. So I have proved that that actually works, and we have got the beginnings of a layout. Now, in terms of what to do with that, there's going to be quite a lot of different layouts. that I'm going to create. Some may or may not have white backgrounds, and I probably don't want the cat in them all as well, but I created that on a page. What would have been a better idea, so I'm undoing now. I'm undoing, and I'm going to lose that white background. There we go. So I've got my frames here. Don't need that reference anymore. What I'm interested in is this, all of these elements here, the bits that make up the frame. And I'm going to copy them. In fact, I can cut them. They can come off that page because I might want them in a master. I might want the orange blast one to be duplicated because that's just a plain background. Go into that one and paste them in. And at that point, I've got that layout. And what I'm going to do there is move them across to there. So I've got a left and a right with that particular layout. So what your homework is for the week is to do something similar. Doesn't have to be exactly the same as mine. I've made one layout. By the time I return next week, I will have other layouts, and hopefully you will too. I don't even care what application you make it in. It can be anything you like. Now, before we finish, you might be thinking, yes, but would that work in Keynote? And the answer is, yes, it does. So let's go into our comic. We are at the moment in that bit there. We can add shapes. So we can put our shapes on it like this. If we wanted something like a triangle, we can do that. Put that up there. But don't forget that these shapes, some of them are smart shapes. So something like that has a green handle. The green handle means it's a smart shape. But these are sadly dumb shapes. They don't do much at all. But they can be editable. Make them editable. And now that's editable. So if, for example, this one here, I made that editable and I grabbed the corner and I deleted it, now it's a triangle. What I am much more likely to do is do something like that. And if I get rid of that one, get another square one next to it. So put that there. And what I'd be looking to do is make those two complement each other, as you saw the other one do. So right click, make editable, and drag that across. So they complement each other. And that's in Keynote. So it really doesn't matter what application you use. I just hope you're going to follow along. Your dog ate your homework. I hope that wasn't your Mac or your iPad. You need to go in and have a go. There's nothing like learning. Watching's grand. Try doing it. Try doing it. So next week we will pick up from here and we will take it on to the next level. But I will make some of this available and I'll make sure that you see it in all three of the applications and I'll point out the differences between them as well. But for the moment, where's my other... no, I want you back, don't I? I want you back and I want you back. Right. Excellent, because next week we're back on Saturday. Is Saturday good or bad for you? You see, it would have been Friday, but something came up. So it's going to have to be Saturday. Now, some people have said they love Saturday because they've got to get up really early. Other people have said, no, that means getting up early on a Sunday morning. So you need to let me know, is that good? Or is that a good thing or a bad thing? We don't do too many Saturdays. I think we've only got one more planned in the next couple of months. But next time, it's a Saturday. So same time, same place, different day. It's a Saturday. So let me know what you thought of that. Are you going to try and make a comic? We've got a long way to take this, you know. One of the things that's going to prove difficult is the text. But now we've got the basics, a good solid foundation. We've created the document. We can start slipping in the new features now. We've got a new feature in Designer called the Appearance Panel. Who has heard of that? I mentioned it. Graham's fine on a Saturday. Good man, Graham. Good man. There's the Appearance Panel, which used to be, well, there is one in Illustrator, now in Designer. There is assets. There are symbols. There are shape styles. There are text styles. So we'll be looking at features, but in terms of a project that we are creating. I am determined to recreate that football comic. That's the ultimate aim. Excellent, excellent. Saturday seems okay. If not, it will be available on demand, obviously. But we do like it when you're there because you can chat to us and keep us company. Excellent, excellent. Now, unboxing. I've forgotten the unboxing slide. I promised an unboxing and we've got to have an unboxing, haven't we? We've got to have an unboxing because if we don't, I can't use the thing till next week and that would never do. So, good job I didn't forget the unboxing, isn't it, Mike? Should be reminding me about the unboxing. Right, I've got the light on. Now I need the camera. I have no idea what I've just pressed. Oh, I do. That's unfortunate. That's not what I intended to do at all. Okay, that's what I intended to do. Excellent. I just need you to be able to see my desk and then we can unbox. We do like to unbox. Right, let's get multicam going. And hopefully that's all working. Oh, it is. Look at that. Love it when it works. Love it when it works. Okay, now get onto the right screen. I wish there was a button for doing that. There we go. There's my laptop. There's me. I'm waving and it's not waving. Oh, it's a bit behind. Why are you behind? Don't be ridiculous. Where you go? Oh, we've got time lag. I don't know why we've got a time lag, but we've got a time lag. Oh, that'll prove interesting as I'm speaking. Right. It was Amazon Prime Day. What can I say? 2 of these arrived. We have twins of these. So let's get in there. Oh, it's good when I've got nails. There we go. There it is. You ready? Watch the nail. There we go. Right down with the nail. Excellent. Here we go. Can you change photos to vector in Affinity? That tool is not there at the moment, but you could use Super Vectorizer 2, I think it's called. Mike will find the link for me. It's in the App Store, Super Vectorizer 2. I think I paid 99 pence. Obviously, it's probably considerably more expensive now. Right, here's what I bought. It's not in retail packaging. It is in original equipment packaging, but there's my toy. I really should stop buying these things, but I can...
$30.
It's $30 now. It's 99p when it's on sale. There we go. That is what I have got. Yet another drive. Another drive. There we go. This one's an 8 terabyte one. I buy them in twins. So at the moment I have 8TB_01, 02 and 03, and these 2 will go in as 04. So it's a Seagate. It was reduced. Did I mention Prime Day sale? It was reduced from £180, which is absolutely outrageous, to £107. So I think I saved 72 quid. So I thought it was time to buy. There we go. It'll be installed and purring away by next week. There we go. So that one's going to be 8 terabytes 04. I do have a lot of data. A lot of it is in the cloud now, to be honest. But I think you're always going to need local data. Probably not as much as I used to have, but then the files that you use start to get bigger and bigger, don't they? So it's not helpful. Right, so that's item number 1. Item number 2. I was more excited about item number 2, to be honest. Oh, this one's quite heavy. This one was something that I thought would be handy for the demonstrations. So I'm going to move the camera back. Let's get him up a bit so you can see what's going on. Ooh, that looks better, doesn't it? All right. There we go. Ooh, that's actually a lot smaller than the packaging. But it weighs about 3 stone, if not more. It would probably help if I turned it round, wouldn't it? There we go. It is a very heavy stand. It assures me it takes iPads up to 11 inches on a gooseneck thing. Now, given that my iPad is sat here, there's my iPad, sat here. Let's wave to the iPad. Hello, iPad. It's on a stand that doesn't adjust. This one adjusts. I'm not actually overly worried if it does take the 11-inch iPad. I'm quite happy with that to have the 9.7 in it. But it is very, very heavy. very heavy. This again was in the sale. Oh, good grief, it's an assemble it yourself thing. Oh no, maybe not. Bits of it, I think. Bits of it are going to need assembling. And it's shipped with a spare head. This is so you can put a webcam on it. So where the webcam is at the moment, you might find the webcam on this in the future. Who knows? It came in black or white. I went for white, even though my iPads are black, because the desk, as you can see, is a very light cream colour. So I figured it would look better in that colour. So how on earth does this thing go together then? No, I think it is assembled. I think I need to put that bit on it, but that bit is actually assembled. So that's the bit where the iPad goes. This bit, I think, is literally just a matter of getting it out of the box. There we go. That is heavy. Might have to sacrifice an iPad here to try it. So let's try it. Oh, excellent. Let's get that up a bit more, so we see the top of it. There we go. Oh my. Oh, that is tough. That is really tough. Yes, I think that might actually hold an iPad. It is that strong. Wow. Right, I'm assuming this bit needs to go on there. How does that attach? One wonders. I could read the instructions, but you know, why ruin them?
Where's the fun in that?
I know. That is weird looking. I think it must lock on somehow. It must lock on. There we go. And that undoes. And said iPad is held like that. So probably not cockeyed. Let me get it straight and then show you. And then that obviously springs out to the side. Okay, there we go. You can't see that at all. You can if I take that up a bit more. There we go. Oh, I thought I'd turn that fan off. I thought there was a noise. Right, there it is. So, this thing moves up and down like that. That moves up and down. And on the back of it, there is a pivot to turn this up and down. But I will grab an iPad. I will put my iPad in it. I'm sacrificing the oldest iPad in case it doesn't like it. And there we go. Whoa, that is actually rock solid. Rock solid, the iPad. Let me try and get in this. Oh, hang on, it wants my code now. Not turned this on for a couple of days. So it's getting uppity. Right, there we go. Said iPad. You see that? Excellent. That's actually pretty sturdy. Oh, I'm liking that, Mike. I'm liking that. Right, I'm altering the adjustment at the back. It's got a ball head. So you can set that to whatever position you would like. So if I tilt it that way and then bring that down, you could have that like that. That would be great in bed, wouldn't it? Whilst watching something. I'm liking that. Oh, that's fantastic. I paid about, I think it's about £20. I think the normal price is 30 something, but that is very well made. It's got rubber feet underneath it and it's very sturdy. I would trust my iPad in that. Which you can't say fairer than. So I'm glad I've been able... I held on to that, Mike, for 4 days to open it. I think I deserve a medal for that.
You do.
Whilst baking a cake, which takes some doing. Oh, an icing said cake, which takes even more doing. Never, ever, ever, ever again. I'm telling you that. There we go. I'm loving that. I will test this for the week and let you know how I get on with it. But at the moment, I'm liking that. I am liking that. Presuming that tips it sideways as well. Let's have a go. Let's have a go. Yep, there you go, if you want to watch the TV with it. Excellent. Oh, yes. I will put the link in somewhere for this when I find it. I'll go find it. Shall I go and find it, Mike? Let's come out of that and let me go and find... Oh, no, I might be able to go and find it over here. I'll have to go into my Amazon orders, of which I have quite a few. Don't tell Mike. Never know. Right, Amazon orders. Give me a link. Oh, what do you look like? Me? Me? What do I look like? Face for radio. Can I leave it at that? You actually saw a photograph of me this afternoon, tonight. You saw it and you didn't notice. Which one do you think I was in those photos? My head was on one of them, but there was actually a full frontal photo of me tonight. I didn't draw attention to it, but there was. Right, where's my orders? Come on. And it was Monday, so that was probably about 50 orders ago. I'll search. I'll put stand. There we go. It was that one. Let's have a look at the price now. That's not bad. It's not bad. £29.74. That's not actually bad. I would say it's worth it. It's rock solid. We did a show, a MacBites, a couple of years back called Alarming Undulations. And it was called that because... I'm now taking this across here so I can get to my iPad. Because I'd bought myself an iPad stand. And it was absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. It alarmingly undulated, as were. Right, let me get this in here if I can. So I'm going into my chat now, as you can see. Chat. I need to make sure that it's synchronised. What are the odds it's synchronised? It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Oh, it has! God, I love it when things work. Which you can't say often, can you? Apart from the fact he's not pasting it in. But apart from that, let's try again. Let's get that link in. Oh, you're not. Oh, that's so sad. Right, let me get into Sublime and paste it into there instead. Right. I'm going to go to this link and make sure it's the right link. If it's the right link, then I'm going to send it to you. But I would say it's worth £30. It's very, very strong. You are opening Firefox for the first time, am I really? I doubt I am, but... Right, if that's right, I'll copy the link from there. Come on. Everybody is watching you struggle along. I should also probably mention the cable. I've had very successful experience with a cable, which is incredibly unusual. There we go. There's my cable. It's a triple cable. I was trying it. It's got lightning on it. It's got the Kindle USB size thing, and it's got a USB-C, which is plugged into there. It was on offer. It was £4, and I thought it's bright red. I'm not going to lose that when I'm out, so I'll use that for when I'm out. That link is right. So why aren't you pasting it? That would help me immensely. So I thought I'd give it a go, and it's working really well. It even charges this MacBook Air, which not much charges this MacBook Air, to be honest. The MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro take a lot of juice. So what I will do here is give you a link to that cable as well. I think it's now $5.99, but it's a good cable. It's lasted over a week, which, given how I use cables. All right, cable. Cable. There's the cable. Get the link. Paste the link. Okay, so who's got questions? Who's got questions? Somebody must have questions. You've got a whole extra day to wait, so you need to come up with some questions. Why aren't you clicking? Right, gotcha. Get into the chat. Paste it. Why are you saying error? Try again. It's not posting my links, Mike.
Not posting your link.
No, it says error, try again.
Where's the link?
Oh, do you know what? Honestly, let me get back to this. Let's try that again. Let's try a different link. Maybe it doesn't like Amazon links. Or it doesn't like my Amazon links. I wouldn't mind. I'm the one doing the broadcast. It's not posting any of them, Mike. But it's posting yours.
Send it to me.
Well, why don't you just go to Amazon and find the thing? Oh, honestly.
Because then it won't be your...
Well, that's probably what the problem is, and I can't get rid of it. When I go and I copy a link from Amazon, it's got my affiliate link on it, and I don't think YouTube like affiliate links, and I can't get rid of the affiliate link. Let me see if I can manually get rid of the affiliate link. See, it's got search stuff on it. I've no idea. Go to product. Would it go if I just went there? Let's try that. Okay, it liked that. Let's see if I can get this one through to you. This is the cable. Oh, Andreas, that is the most beautiful comment. Thank you so much. We talked about unicorns tonight, didn't we? It doesn't like any of my links. Okay, what I'm going to do with them is I shall put them all in an email. That's what I'll do. So if you're not subscribed to my VIP list, you need to subscribe to my VIP list. And I will send out all of the links for everything that we've done tonight. There you go. Can't say fairer than that. It'll tempt me. Tempt me. Right. What's Graham bought that he liked? He bought a couple, he really likes them. What on earth was that? Oh, was that some cables or was it some sexy Prime toys? I did have that short cable that did 3, but I'd not had a longer cable that, and I also bought one. There was 2 in a packet for £4, and I thought they're not going to work. These triple-headed cable things. They're slightly thinner. I think I've packed them to go out with. Oh no, I've got one. I've got one. There it is. You can see it's slightly thinner. I would say it's not as well made. I did not expect it to charge my iPad or my MacBook Air. Let me untangle it. There we go. That's the cheaper one. So these bits are longer, but kinked. And it does. It charges it. So I'm not saying it'll last forever, but if you saw my cable last week, my Apple cable, that certainly didn't last forever either. I will make sure those links are available. Awful. The cables. The cable's working really well. Very impressed with the cable. And that iPad stand, yeah, loving that as well. Very, very nice. Glad I risked that. How to know whether you are subscribed to the VIP list. Okay, if you go to elainegiles.com/VIP and try subscribing, it will tell you if you are subscribed or not. Or it should do. It should do. You see, that's even highlighted my name. Why can't I post in my own chat, Mike? Let me say hello and see if it'll let me do that. It's not letting me post. It's saying error every time. Okay, I'm going to refresh the page. Honestly, YouTube, it's one thing after another with you. Come on, let's try again. You know what it's done, don't you?
What?
Again. In the middle of a live broadcast. Signed me out. That's why it won't let me post. Which means I've got to sign in. Oh, for crying out loud, I've no idea what my Google password is.
It's in 1Password.
I know it's in 1Password. That means I've got to log into 1Password. Do they think I've got nothing else to do? How can you log me out in the middle of a live broadcast? Because obviously I'm still broadcasting. So who on earth does it think I am? You know, just a point. Right, I am getting myself logged in. Probably not the best thing to do, putting my password in with the camera on the keyboard.
Right, we can only see a quarter of it.
You're probably thinking my password sounds like War and Peace, and indeed, it does. It is. Right, it's logging me in. Now I've got to go back and get all of those links, you stupid, stupid, stupid machine at times. Right, am I back in? Am I me? Can I see myself now? Right, I'm going to try saying hello again, and if it'll let me say hello, I should be able to post these links. That does not mean that you do not need to sign up to my list. You do need to sign up to my list. All right. Oh, hello. Now it's not typing at all. God, I love it when it works. Excellent. Right, let's start again with these links then. Where were we? I had the first one.
Amazon link.
I know they're Amazon links. Right. Okay, that one was... Can you just click that, Mike, and tell me what on earth that was? That was one of them. Let's go.
That was the thing you bought, the bendy iPad thing, yeah. Right.
And that was the second one, I do believe. So those are the two things we're talking about. Two-factor, Graham, no. Life's too short. Actually, I've got something I intend to vent about on MacBites, Graham.
That's the cables.
Yeah, that's fine then. Great, we got there in the end. Yes, I got a letter from the bank. They now want to know who I am, basically, and I don't do things like that. The bank had my phone number in the mid-90s. And one particular week, the bank went mental. The bank contacted me 14 times in 5 days, trying to sell me stuff. And at the time, Graham will remember this. I think this was a British thing, Graham. I'm hoping it was. I don't think anybody else in the world is as stupid as we are. The thing was, there was two things they were doing. You signed up to buy blind boxes of wine. So you signed up to a wine club. Do you remember this, mid-90s? And the other thing was you signed up for a part share in a horse. And that's what they were trying to sell me. And I went mental with them. Look, I give you my money. You look after it. When I want to spend it, you give it me back. Other than that, I don't want to hear from you. Well, they wouldn't stop ringing. So after the 14th, I said, right, that's it. And I took the phone number away from them. They also, as email became prevalent, don't have my email address. Because my logic is, if they have my email address and I get an email that purports to be from my bank, how do I know it isn't? But if I get an email from my bank and it says, hello, we're your bank, I know you're not my bank because you don't have my email address. Totally logical to me. So this letter arrives today to kindly inform me that if I want to buy anything online, I'm going to need a code. And this is like a single-use code, a bit like a two-factor sign-on. And they'll email it me or send it to my phone. And I said to Mike, they're going to find that very difficult. And when they say to me, how are we supposed to contact you? You write to me on paper with a stamp. Well, I don't think that's going to work for two-factor, is it? So we'll see how that goes. At the moment, that's where I've left it. So I'm not too pleased with them. I got there in the end with those links, didn't I? I'm glad I got them through to you. But I am ramping up my VIP emails, so you need to be on there anyway. But Mike put the link in for that because it threw its toys out the pram with me. So did you work out, Deborah, which one was me in the photos? That's the point. There was one tonight. I was next to Mike, if that helps. So you might have to play back and have a look. I wasn't looking my best that day. I was hot. It was very hot. It was a really warm day. Tonight, we have pouring rain in Manchester. In fact, it rained for, 3 hours? 2-3 hours? And a road nearby is flooded. It only takes a light shower to flood because the council don't seem to bother taking the leaves out of the grids. So now we've got a massive flood about half a mile from our front door. So we're on a little bit of a rise. So hopefully, unless it really, really, really rains a whole lot more, we'll be safe and dry. But if not, we'll send distress signals to you. So we're going to, if there's no more questions, head off.
And get
something to eat. Unbelievably, there's none of my cake left. Deb doesn't know what you look like. Oh, no, but you've seen Mike loads.
Oh.
I had a picture of you. Oh, of course you do. Here you go. This is what Mike looks like.
Just go to my blog.
I've got you on here. I've got you with your shirt on.
I am on my blog.
That's the back of Mike. And that's the front of Mike giving his talk. There you go. And where's the one of me? Where's the one of me? Hang on, where am I? Oh, it was Pam and Jed. That's me in the top. Top left. Not the one in the very skimpy top, which I cut some off. Not that one. Top left. There you go. Can't say fairer than that, can I? In fact, that's the first time most people have seen me. Top left. Right, so we're going to be back. Hang on, where am I? I've got all sorts of slides in here that shouldn't be in there. Whoa, where am I? There we are. Next week. Next week we'll be back. But what are we having tonight? What are we having tonight? None of my cake left.
No.
No. And I didn't get a strawberry mousse. I made a huge mistake when I placed the order for last night's meal. In going
on tomorrow's shopping list.
In going for the fresh fruit salad. Then other people got strawberry mousse and it looked fabulous. And I was so annoyed. But I did take a little spoonful of Mike's, and to be honest, I've seen better. And I've tasted better.
All right.
It wasn't as good as yours, dear. See what I did there? You go out and get some tomorrow and thrill me with it. That's the plan, anyway.
Fruit and Bakewell again.
Graham.
I think everyone should list what they're going to eat, because there's only you, me and Graham ever do it.
Yeah, come on.
Let us know.
Oh, is that you or Lovely? Me or Mike? I'll take it if it was me. I'll absolutely take it if it was me.
I'm the one above.
Well, you've got nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you must be you or Lovely.
I must be Lovely. Oh, I'll take that, absolutely. I don't think there were any photographs of me last night. There was one at the back of my head. You took one on the back of my head, but I was chatting away at the time.
So who's getting something to eat?
Who's going to share what they're eating? Because for some of you, it's breakfast. Now, if it was breakfast, I don't usually bother with breakfast. I must admit, I'm really bad with that.
Some of you, it's midnight feast.
Yep, midnight feast for us.
Some of you, it'll be dinner.
Yeah.
If you're in the States.
Yeah, absolutely. Breakfast, I would probably go for a full English. As you know, we have a breakfast club.
It was you, Elaine.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Deb. So I would probably go for a full English, although sometimes I have porridge. One day I'll tell you the story about my first iPad and my porridge. That didn't end well either. I'll put that in for next week. Might make a note. Make a note.
Isn't that on your blog?
It's on my blog somewhere. Yes, my iPad 1 arrived and breakfast got forgotten. Don't ask. But it's all right. My mum had a chisel. We needed it. So I don't really bother with breakfast. I have a salad at lunch.
Do our American friends know what porridge is?
It's sort of like liquefied cement until you eat it, and then it becomes heavy cement. And dinner today, we actually had a breakfast for dinner. We're a bit odd like that.
Yeah, Deborah's in...
cheese and tomato on toast. Nice. I actually had some gluten-free bread last week. I'm gluten-free, but I don't tend to eat the gluten-free bread. But I went out, and this lady said, I've got you some gluten-free bread. Because they were having garlic bread and chili something with rice. And she said, I've got you some gluten-free bread. It was gorgeous. Must admit, really enjoyed that. In fact, worse than that, do you know what I did? Graham will appreciate this. I know, Graham, that you will appreciate this. First piece of bread I've had in about 3 years, and I looked at it, and I looked at this stack of Pringles, and I thought, I'm sorry, crisp sandwich. And if you don't know what that is, I think they're chips, aren't they, in America?
Yeah.
Yeah, we call them crisps. Pringles. There was this tube of Pringles looking sad and lonely, and my bread with butter on it that was calling out. Good job she didn't have any chips, because I don't eat potatoes either.
You mean French fries?
French fries. Yeah, but I could have just gone a chip butty. Oh, Graham, I'm tempting you now.
Chip butty. That's French fries with bread on either side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very English. It's very English. We might do this, you know. See, Graham's there. Graham, absolutely, yes. We'll have to do
good
that.
English chip butty.
Yes, we shall have to have.
Chips are crisp.
We shall have to have a meet up about it. Yes. See, that's what's odd. You see, when we say a chip butty, we mean French fries on usually a square piece of, an oblong piece of bread that you wrap around the chips. Or French fries.
Chip butty has its own entry in Wikipedia.
And there's a photo. So there you go. Wikipedia, chip butty, can't go wrong. Yeah, put the link in. That's what I really, really, really wanted, but I don't eat potatoes anymore. Oh, it's so sad, isn't it? But tonight it's going to be fresh fruit salad. While I dream about the mousse that I was stupid enough not to order last night. Luckily, the lamb was fabulous, as was the pâté, but I would say the majority of people had mousse, and I had to go around the tables because, Mike's in charge, so I've got to go around and make sure everybody's okay. And I'm going around making sure everybody's okay, thinking, if you finish with that mousse, I'll have it.
You just said it wasn't very nice.
No, I know, but at that stage I hadn't tried it. It just looked nice. But when I took a little bit of yours, I didn't think it was that sweet. I thought it was a diet mousse. It needed more flavour.
Right.
But you see, if it had fresh strawberries in it, I've gone all domestic, haven't I?
It did.
Did it?
Yeah, down the bottom.
Oh, well, I didn't get that bit.
No.
I was swindled.
Yes.
Oh. I can feel compensation for my swindling coming on.
What do we have when we swindled?
When we're swindled, we have swindle toy. Now, swindle toy is not anything specific. It's just, I feel swindled, therefore I'm going to treat myself to fill in the blank. And usually it's a salted caramel magnum. Don't ask. Oh, by the way, Graham, they're on offer for the next 2 days at Tesco's. White magnums, mint magnums, and the absolutely to die for chocolate salted caramel magnums. They are on offer at half price.
This is ice cream we're talking about for our non-UK friends.
Yes. 40p each. I mean, I'm sorry, it would be rude not to, wouldn't it? So, we've made room in the freezer by throwing other stuff out, and Mike will be filling up tomorrow. Do you put condiments on a chip
Yes.
butty?
Mayonnaise.
I do. I put salt and vinegar on.
Tomato ketchup.
I wouldn't put anything on it but salt and vinegar. Because it's got to have that original salt and vinegar flavour. Oh, no. I do like mayonnaise, but no, I would put salt and vinegar on it. And I like pickle vinegar. What was it? Not Sarsons. What's the pickles?
Jelly babies.
Oh, well, I do like jelly babies.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we are going to head off and have something to eat.
Before it's breakfast.
Yes, I'm going to have my fruit and dream of other things instead. But wherever you are, I hope you are going to have a fabulous, fabulous weekend. Don't forget, not Friday next week, it's Saturday, but we will be here with part 2 of the Comic Creation Kit. I've also had somebody ask me, so have a ponder about this one. Somebody's asked me, can you do frequency separation on an iPad with Affinity Photo? And the answer is yes, you can. It's quite different than on a desktop, but they like to see it. So I might slip that one in as well. With my new iPad stand holding my iPad. Loving that. Absolutely loving that. So I will say good night from me.
And I will say good night from me.
And we will both see you next time. Good night, guys.